Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
It's here. It's time. There's always a buzz in the air when you hit this moment.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
I think of him as this hawk. Before long, he's going to be swooping in on those quarterbacks.
And they embody what the school is about. It's about getting into hard situations and getting ourselves out. It's about working hard. It's about doing amazing things.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Hope it was today.
Today is Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. It's going to be a slaughter, Tennessee Tech, I hope.
Yeah, probably any day.
Oh, okay.
There's a big step up in competition.
Yeah.
For Tennessee Tech. And I would, I guess you don't take anything for granted, but I would expect Texas A&M to open the season with a bang.
With a bang. I looked at last year's start for the A&M baseball team.
Yeah.
And the first weekend was great.
Yeah.
Everything was great, okay? They started off 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, and then things started going south. From 5-0, they lost the next game to Cal Poly.
Yeah, I was there for that one.
Texas State followed that.
Yeah.
Then the Astros Foundation weekend, which was not good. They lost 2 of 3, and they lost to UTSA. So it wasn't the opening weekend where things started going south. It was right after the opening weekend.
Yeah. Typically, it seems that A&M opens up the season with somebody that you can get a 3-game, get off to a 3-0 start. I can remember people getting excited because they had beaten somebody like, I'm probably wrong here, but like New Hampshire or Hofstra.
Right.
And I'm like, you understand it's February. They haven't even been outside yet.
That's true.
And I think Tennessee Tech, it might be in Cookeville, Tennessee. I might be wrong on that, but I'm thinking they're in Cookeville, Tennessee. So I think they've been out not often. I would expect in any situation that Texas A&M would win this series pretty handily.
Yeah, I know everybody's got their own criteria for what they want, how they decide to root for a team or a person. I root for good people, and I like Michael Early. My encounters with Michael have been fantastic. I root for him because I have empathy. I know he was given a great roster last year. I have empathy for how things unfolded. And then also, I just like the guy. Yeah. Sorry. When I like somebody, I'm going to root for him. Isn't that when I don't like somebody, not going to say anybody in particular, I still root for them if they're an A&M guy, or if they're a Texans guy, if they're a Real Madrid guy, right? I'm still going to, that's my team.
Yeah.
But when I really like them, I'm going to root for them no matter what.
I'm with you 100%. I don't know Michael Early. When I've been around him and met him, he seems like a good guy, a nice man. I think he really wants to be successful for Texas A&M. So that makes me root for. Look, to your point, I rooted for Texas A&M basketball under Buzz Williams, even though I thought he was not what he projected himself to be. And I figured that out a long time ago. Former players had told me, I don't buy it. Okay, and they were right. And I thought Kevin Sumlin was incompetent.
Yep.
And yet, as long as Texas A&M was out there, I'm going to root for his success because I'm rooting for Texas A&M. But further to your point, with Michael Early in baseball, you're getting both. You're rooting for your team that happens to be coached by a guy that's very much like I rooted for Billy Kennedy, a really good guy who was the Texas A&M basketball coach. Hopefully it'll work out better for Michael Early than it did for Billy Kennedy.
But I mean,
but that's kind of the same
Billy
concept.
Kennedy had a run, though,
Oh,
buddy.
yeah. I mean, hey, what other coach took 2 teams to the Sweet 16?
Exactly right. Yeah, and here's the thing. It is a results business, and he knows that.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to get it done this year, right? But I also can take a step back and look at it and be like, gosh, that guy, he went through a lot in his first year.
Yeah.
Didn't know he was going to be the head coach right after the College World Series. Is in Austin for a press conference where it's awkward. Gets the opportunity because players rally for him. Those players, I think, probably came in last year a little bit more confident because of what they had just done, and it didn't translate early on. And then it did start to translate. He lost star players throughout the year.
Yeah.
He lost his closer. He did not have Grahovic and Caden Sorrell together pretty much at all. And when he got Sorrell, it was midway through the season, and he wasn't 100% either. And the Missouri series happened, but all that to say that he said it in this studio, if either Monday or Thursday, he wouldn't trade that experience for himself. He'd trade it for the fans and for people who love A&M, but he wouldn't trade it for himself because he had to go through that to be the coach he's going to be this year.
Well, probably the most used, I'm not saying overused, but probably the most used word in sports is adversity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you hear everybody talk about, overcome adversity. Well, he's faced adversity, and it can make you better.
Yep.
We'll see this year. I'm very optimistic about this season because guys like Grahovic are back, and Sorrell is expected to play an entire season because he made such a difference when he got into the lineup. And I'm really excited to see Hakopian, if I'm saying the name correct, and Shane Sadeo's back. So if he can stay healthy.
Stewie's back.
Stewart is back. So and some guys will just get better. Some new guys that are in, maybe they'll be, I look for Terrence Kill to be even more productive.
Yeah.
But some of the new guys coming in, maybe they'll be as productive as some of the past new guys that brought in, like guys like a couple of years ago, Alec Camarillo.
Yeah.
Guys like that. So I don't expect them to be like Brady Montgomery. But we can hope, right? But I do. I'm expecting here on the first day of the season, I put all my baseball expertise. I'm such an expert, I almost said basketball. I'll put my reputation for baseball expertise on the line and say, at bare minimum, this team gets into the postseason playoffs.
I think
that's bare minimum.
I think
bare Harrison minimum.
Let's be honest. They were knocking on the door of that last year. If they don't lose the Missouri series, they're in. They lost it. It's part of the story.
I saw it and still don't believe it.
Yeah.
And you know what? In a lot of those games, the bullpen was, betrayed them.
Yep.
And that was a big issue last year. Not the only one by any means. And injuries was a part, like you said.
Defense was an issue last year too.
But there's reasons, I'll just put it that, to feel better about the bullpen.
Well, and also, let's not forget, it hurt so much because you were just an inning away from a national championship.
An inning, nothing. One hit.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
exactly
right.
right.
7-6?
Yeah.
And Tennessee had that big inning because it's nobody's fault, but there was a pop-up that normally a catcher is going to get, but he couldn't locate it. Yeah. And then given that extra out, they were able to break it open, and then Texas A&M almost came back. You're one big hit away.
This weekend, also, A&M basketball in the middle of a 3-game losing streak goes to Vanderbilt. And to me, OB, for them to win this game, and any game, they've got to play their brand of basketball. And their brand of basketball, I don't believe, was played against Missouri, even though they hit a bunch of threes. Their brand of basketball is they have to set the tone, and it's got to be what they're doing that affects Missouri, should have affected Missouri, should affect Vanderbilt, as opposed to what I think happened was the way Missouri was playing affected A&M. So they've got to be executing their strength so effectively that their opponent's advantages are minimized.
Yeah, that's the plan. I think even Bucky said we were hoping that our style of play might wear them down somewhat, and maybe it did to some degree, but not enough. But again, the last two opponents have just been so much physically bigger than A&M. They've had that big, that significant advantage. They don't have that. Vanderbilt doesn't have that. Vanderbilt's not as big as Texas A&M. Think about that.
Yeah.
However, Vanderbilt probably shoots the ball better than Texas A&M, even without Duke Miles, who I think is still out.
Yep.
And you got to go up there in that crazy gym. A&M is 0 for February. And quite frankly, I'm going to be writing today. February futility has jeopardized March Madness for Texas A&M. So they have to get back in the on track. And if you can beat Vanderbilt and Nashville, that would be your biggest win.
Yeah.
And excuse me, just a huge boost to your resume.
3 things that we want to see this weekend, OB. It doesn't have to be basketball, it can be baseball, it can be anything. You tell me.
Well, I expect to see a sweep in baseball. I've already said that. So, mine are always all going to be about basketball. I want to see Ruben Dominguez break out of the whatever funk he's in. I figured he's 11 of 40 in the last 6 games.
Wow. And
And he's been in single digits 5 of the last 6 games. So they need Ruben Dominguez to snap out of it. I know it's not just him and his, the way that he's been defended, but, you got to get that guy going. I would love to see Zach Clemens continue to be an offensive weapon. He's been somewhat inconsistent, but he's coming off a 20-point game. I think the last time when he went 21, his next game he scored about 6 or something like that, which is not bad for him. And you know what? I just want to see Rashawn Agee go in and play a Rashawn Agee type game since he's not going up against some 7-footer.
Yeah. Here's 3 things I want to see.
All right.
I want to force more turnovers.
Okay.
All right, let's get back to 13 plus. All right. Let's get there. 2 halves of hitting threes, not just one. 25% is okay for some teams, not for this team, right? So 2 halves of hitting threes. They don't have to hit 11 each half, right? Yeah. But I think just a little more balance in that respect. And I want to see them dictate the pace, the tempo, all game long. Like Vanderbilt's not dictating what was happening. A&M is dictating what is happening.
Okay.
Those are the 3 things I want to see.
You know what I really want to say? I just want to see them win.
Yeah, that'd be great.
3 things I want to see. I want to see the basketball team win. I want to see the baseball team win.
And the softball team win?
I want to see the softball team and anybody else.
Anybody who's playing.
I got to see them win.
Hey, tell the people the name of the show.
TexAgs Live.
Presented by?
David Gardner's Jewelers. He's a gem of a guy, old David.
Yeah, he's great. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Brought to you by Jason Jackson, Keith Morgan, and everybody else in the
boys
Rollo family.
And the girls.
The boys, the girls, the men, the women, even the dogs and cats.
For 60 minutes a day, we call this show the
Go Hour.
Presented.
60 minutes, hour. Self-explanatory.
Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations.
CC, senor.
Ay, gracias. Over there, right in that section over there, we call that
the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. But the Cool Zone travels.
So does your back scratcher.
It does. Just fell on the ground.
Show the people the back scratcher.
Right here, I got that back scratch fever.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, call us up on the Buppy's Catering and
Bartending
hotline, 979-693-1150, or you can text us on the Catalyst
PPE, Pure Performance Energy.
Yeah. Can you do it without saying PPE? Like
Pure Performance Energy.
Like when it come to you so quickly?
Probably not. But that's because I'm down with PPE.
Yeah, you are.
You know me.
Naughty by Nature. Do you know any of the members of Naughty by Nature?
No, I don't.
Tretch, I think.
I have no idea.
Anyway, let's go behind the glass. A big Naughty by Nature fan is Nick Savage. Actually,
I've never even heard that song, by the way.
You've never heard?
No, I know of the song, but I've never heard the song.
1,000% we hear it on the other side.
No, we can't. We can't.
There's a clean version. A very clean version. Just don't grab your crotch like Super Bowl. Nick Savage, good morning.
I don't think I've ever heard that song either. So
You've never heard?
I'd be interested to hear it.
You've never heard? Okay, Reese. What's wrong with you humans? It was one of the biggest songs in the world. It's like the Pledge of Allegiance.
Who's it by?
Naughty by Nature.
It's like a self-titled song?
No. Naughty by Nature sings OPP. Other people's properties.
Oh. I'm sure that's what it stands for. But
it does.
Okay. Anyways. Excited for opening day.
We just segue from that.
Yeah, moving on. I'm really excited to see Shane Sadeo get his first start in what feels like, well, it has been forever. The last time we saw him, we didn't think we'd ever see him pitch in an A&M uniform again because he was most likely going to go to the MLB draft. But it's going to be really cool to see him in maroon and white again and Really going to be a lot of fun to be back out in Olson.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, Bluebell Park.
Well, it's all the same, right? I mean, it's like saying
Olson Field and Bluebell Park.
It's like saying Bruce Wayne and Batman. I do that for you. It's the same guy, right?
Nuño.
Olson and Bluebell Park.
You're like Jimmy Olson.
Same guy. I was a reporter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Was Jimmy a reporter or he was a photographer?
He was more of a photographer. Yeah.
I was a reporter. I'm more like Clark Kent.
You're more like Lois. Sorry,
no,
you're definitely not like Lois.
No.
We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reese Nygren.
Good morning.
Are you down with OPP? Sorry, PPE. Are you down with PPE?
I'm down with the Pure Performance Energy text line.
The reason I'm asking is because you've got your catalyst.
I've got
right there.
the Orange Dream catalyst.
Yeah, that's my favorite flavor. Yeah,
it's the best one.
I think so.
Yeah, to go off of Nick's point about Shane Sadeo, it's been 614 days since he last pitched. The last time he was on the mound was that Oregon game in the postseason when A&M had that huge comeback with that one big inning. I think it was the 6th inning. That was the last time Shane Sadeo took the mound. But we'll flip over to softball because they have a handful of big games tonight. This morning, actually. The number 8 Aggies are in Clearwater, Florida for the Shriners Children Clearwater Invitational, which kicks off at 9 a.m. today when the Maroon and White face the number 23 Cowboys of Oklahoma State, followed by the number 19 Duke Blue Devils at noon. Coach Ford's squad will also face NC State at 8 a.m. on Saturday before wrapping up the weekend against JMU and Northwestern at 8 and 11 a.m. respectively.
Do the Oklahoma State women's teams go by Cowboys?
No, they're the Cowgirls.
Oh,
Cowgirls.
I mean, today's political climate, who knows? By the way, why do we say Shane Sadeo hadn't pitched in like 640 days when there's 2 off seasons where nobody's playing in that, right? To me, that's like, why don't you say, not on you, Reese,
I think it's on you.
Yeah, sounds like it.
That's like saying, my son, is your son 7 years old? No, he's 84 months.
Yeah, I haven't given it that much
It's been
thought.
2 years since he's, okay.
But it has been 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
It has.
Actually, less than 2 years.
Okay, it's been 600 and how many?
14.
That's almost 2 years. Since he's
2 years would be 700 and like 30 days, something like that.
So it's not almost 2 years?
But that's what I'm saying. I'd say, well, it's been almost 2 years. It's been 3. My son is my 7-year-old son. No, he's not 7. He's 800. He's, what did I say? 84 months.
What are we talking about?
We
were talking about Shane Sadeo.
All right, let's hit a break. We're going to talk food in a second. And then I'm going to run by a text by you at the break. Because apparently there's a media beef with you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know about this media beef.
Well, speaking of beef.
Yeah. So if you had, let's say, a member of the media that spoke poorly of you.
Okay.
But you wanted to be the classy person. All right? You didn't want to be rude. Or maybe you wanted to be like the Godfather and take him to a restaurant and take care of business, hide the gun in the bathroom. Let's just not do that, though. Let's just say it's a peaceful meeting. Where would you go have a peaceful meeting at?
1775. If there's a beef, a bad beef, go get some good beef.
Yeah,
like some succulent brisket at 1775.
Yeah.
Or some amazing pork ribs. Or some of that scrumptious jalapeno cheese sausage. Or the very healthy turkey, right?
Yeah.
Or that gastronomical delight that is queso mac and cheese.
I love queso mac and cheese. Have you had the queso mac and cheese?
It's like mac and cheese on steroids but on Mexican steroids.
But like not too much steroids, the right amount of steroids.
Just an amount that David takes.
If you think I take steroids at 180 pounds, you've got another thing.
But just the amount, the perfect amount.
The perfect amount. It is 1775, txbbq.com. The phone number is 979-492-6241. It's so good, it's actually...
It's good. It's great. It's tremendous.
Thank you. I wish I had Olin here for it because he loves energy drinks. Catalyst Citrus Spark. This is one of the new flavors out there. Whether you're grinding through workouts, cramming for a test,
or closing in on a deal or getting ready for TexAgs Live. You never know, right? Fast becoming the go-to fuel for Aggies everywhere. Zero sugar, I'm all in for that. Or synthetic sweeteners, no artificial colors or flavors. Catalyst delivers clean, high-performance energy with smooth, crisp taste that is never syrupy, designed for both health and hustle. You want to get going, you use this Catalyst right here. It's about pure energy and pure results. And what sets them apart? Packed with premium nootropics blended to boost focus, clarity, and mental stamina. I need this. I'm in, guys. I'm in. Plus, with plant-based caffeine, vitamin B12, B6, Catalyst supports metabolism and energy production, making it more than a drink. It's your lifestyle training partner. Built for competitors on the field, Catalyst fuels strength, focus, and pure results. Buy now at drinkcatalyst.com. That is drinkcatalyst.com. Train harder, think sharper, pure results. It's Catalyst.
Just let it play for a little bit. We got to at least get to the chorus, right? OB, you listening?
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Okay. I guess they just did the opposite of what I asked for. Thanks, guys. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gar. Did I hear like a commercial in the background? What do I hear? How did the song change? Anyway, good times. Thanks, guys. It's the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse SEC Creations. All right. I'm only bringing it up because you're my dog. Okay?
All right.
You're my homeboy. Sorry. You're my friend.
I don't.
But I don't.
I don't shy away from anything.
I know. And Trey and Shiner sent the text. I missed it yesterday. I didn't see it. So, apparently, okay. So, I don't know a lot of the context, but it's coming in as we speak. So we'll go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Apparently, somebody talked about OB on a national radio show, and it wasn't kind. So Reese, read us Trey and Shiner's comments, and then we're not going to spend a lot of time on this.
Mike Farrell on Full Ride ripped OB as a crusty, conceited individual. Yesterday, Childers was worse. Said he used to be friendly with OB, but that they had gotten cross with one another. He said that basically that certain people have a very high opinion of themselves. Farrell basically agreed and didn't seem to think much of OB. The conversation was about James Vanderbeek's passing and that OB was in Varsity Blues. I always listened to TexAgs, but had a doctor's appointment and was getting in my truck. Blah, 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 blah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
First of all, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but you're my guy.
Okay, crusty. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Conceited, maybe. I know I do it. I'm very confident in the job I've done and have always done. I've never met Mike Farrell. We did both work for Rivals. He didn't work in the office. I think he's from, I could be wrong, but I think he's from New England or something like that. I do know, I'm not going to say other names because they're not here, but I do know there were those in the office that thought Mike was, I'll just put it this way, the weakest member of that team that scouted and things like this. Now, I'll put, as far as Mike goes, I'll put this out. When you are looking at recruiting rankings, where do you go? What websites do you go to?
I go to TexAgs' recruiting rankings, I guess on 3.
Maybe 24/7.
Maybe 247, yeah.
I mean, it used to be that Rivals was kind of like the gold standard, and it's not anymore. In fact, I think a lot of people just almost forgot it.
I think On3 bought them, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Did they? Because the guy who started Rivals also started On3 after he sold Rivals to Yahoo. So a year later, he started On3, and I just thought, it seems to me that Rivals has kind of went from the gold standard to brand X. And all I'll say is, look who's doing the scouting.
I don't think Mike is there anymore. I don't
even know where he is.
I think he's independent now.
So he may be. Well, that probably tells you something there too. As far as Chris goes, you're right. He's right. We did have a falling out. I was very concerned on a Facebook post about people losing their jobs in the oil industry when Joe Biden made some cuts and things like that, because I'm from East Texas. And where I'm from, there's a lot of hardworking oil field people that I knew and care about that were in the oil industry. And cuts in that industry, no matter where it happens, they have a domino effect and people lose their jobs. And I knew some. And I was posting about how much I was concerned about that. And Chris got on there and started making, because he's from Chicago, Democrat, making fun of it. And I'm like, dude, you're going to make fun of people losing their jobs? Now, I don't care, quite frankly, if you're a coach making millions of dollars and you lose your job, because you're good. You made millions of dollars. But these are hardworking people, just blue-collar people trying to provide for their families, and this guy's making fun of it, laughing about it. So I said, look, don't even bother me anymore, lose my number. He just called me, wanted to be on his show all the time. I've never said anything about it, but if he's going to bring that up, then I'm going to tell you why. Now, if you don't have a problem with people losing, hardworking people who did nothing except work hard, losing their job, which obviously Chris didn't, then, okay, if you're fine with that, then you're good. But if you are offended, is not even the right word, but if you're angered by someone making fun of people that lose their jobs, again, these are just hardworking people trying to provide for their families, then maybe you'd understand why I reacted the way I did.
Well, I know you very well. All right.
No,
we've had a relationship since 2012, right? But
even before, to a certain degree.
Yeah.
When you were the national
college
football host, was that?
That was in 2012.
Okay.
Yeah. So you were a regular guest on the show, and I don't think you're conceited at all. I think you are, and you brighten my day every day. So we'll move on from that. And we should probably get some sports in this segment, even though we're past a break. But
You notice, though, they didn't call me to say, hey, we want to trash you, but we're going to give you an opportunity to respond. But, that's kind of what cowards do.
Well, by the way, if we're speaking about conceited, yo, what's up? I'm kidding. I'm actually not that conceited, but I wish a brother would. Let's talk about Trinidad Chambliss.
Strange story.
The NCAA, it is what we've always said. Even though they won a couple things in the last week, it is what you just go to a judge that likes you, you're going to beat the NCAA. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing with the NCAA. Sometimes they grant extra years to some players, and then sometimes they don't. And there's times when I really can't see the difference in the cases. Now, maybe it's because I'm not privy to all the information.
Right.
But for what I am privy to, you're like, okay, now, there seems some inconsistencies there. So if the NCAA had some hard, fast rules, maybe it would be easier to debunk these judges.
Yep.
Because I know they're going to appeal. The NCAA is going to appeal, just like they did with Alabama. Or I don't know if that was an appeal, but there was another process that's going to happen. They're going to appeal. And I can't tell you the names right offhand, but we all know you've seen stories about guys that have been granted extra time. From what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Trinidad Chambliss had tonsillitis and other things one year, so he didn't play.
He didn't play at all.
So he didn't play. Now, are they going to say, yeah, but if you miss a year, it's going to have to be for an on-field injury for us to give you your back? I don't know.
So do you think he should have gotten his eligibility?
I don't know if he should or shouldn't. I'll say this. I would not have been steadfastly against it had they, because like I said, I've seen it for other people.
Mm-hmm.
But what I don't understand is why some get it the extra time and some don't. That's what concerns me there.
I don't know enough. I mean, I saw the tweets about this case.
I'll say this: I do think, even though I'm not pro NCAA, obviously we've had them, but I do think that it's troublesome when the NCAA makes a ruling and then you find a local judge.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't think that you're going to say, well, what about A&M and Rashad Agee? But I don't think the NCAA had ever made a ruling on him.
Right.
I mean, had the NCAA ever come out and said, you can't play Rashad Agee? I don't think so.
I don't believe.
In fact, it was the SEC that was behind A&M.
Right.
So
Luke will be with us in a little bit. He can because he was covering that whole legal case. I don't know enough about it. I mean, Trey Wallace was on Twitter yesterday reporting from the hearing. And in my heart, I believe if you lost the season and you still are going to school, you should be able to get that season back. But I don't know enough of the particulars. A&M isn't playing Ole Miss, so I don't have that much of an opinion on it. Joey Aguilar, though.
That's today.
That's going on today. A&M is facing Tennessee, so that'll be very interesting.
So if the NCAA was going to rule against Trinidad Chambliss, you would think they're going to rule against Joey Aguilar. So does Tennessee already have a local judge warming up in their bullpen?
Yeah.
Right? They were calling up, okay, judge. And so as soon as the NCAA makes this ruling, then bring him in and boom, he can play.
Yeah. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back more. To family-owned agencies dotted in the TexAgs, Rollo Insurance Group is doing amazing work helping small agencies keep up during the slow-motion corporate takeover of the insurance industry. Tech, markets, education, and succession planning are all big challenges. But if you go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, you can listen to Keith and Jackson's commentary right here in the studio not long ago. And at Rollo Insurance, Aggies are doing all kinds of work to help out other Aggies. And they are the best when it comes to finding the right insurance situation for you. They build lasting relationships through education, helping you understand what they're buying for you and the why behind it. What you need to do is visit the website, learn all about it. It is rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, or go to call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That is 888-44-ROLLO. Media beef, always a thing here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. We're not doing Patting the Rock today because Tap is out of town, so Luke decided to join us early. Good morning, buddy.
Good morning.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, because you were covering the case when AG was going through his injunction.
Yeah.
What are the similarities with Chambliss and with all these situations that are out there? Like, help me understand what AG's situation is compared to what else we're seeing.
Had the NCAA ruled that AG cannot play?
So, okay, that's a complicated question because that all starts with A&M's waiver status. So you can only file and add on to the waiver that your AG's old school wrote, which was USC, and it was written poorly. So A&M had to go to court they couldn't add any more new information that they would have won the case had they just filed a new waiver. A&M would have won his waiver from the NCAA, but it wouldn't have happened until like December or January, and they couldn't afford to wait that long. So they had to go with the USC waiver. They got denied and had to appeal it through the courts and ultimately won it through the courts like what Trinidad Chambliss just did. And both of the cases are feeling like they should have gotten a year back. The Chambliss one is because of tonsillitis. AG's one is because New Mexico State messed up his paperwork based on standardized testing rules that no longer are followed by the NCAA. So it was an academic thing with AG. So his year at New Mexico State where he played 1 minute and then, or like played one game, played 6 minutes and then got injured, that shouldn't have counted. So his clock technically should not have started until he got to Bowling Green because he went the JUCO route. So It's a different situation, but both of them had to go through the courts to win. But I think the difference is with Chambliss, he had to go through the courts to win. With AG, they just couldn't afford to wait that long. They would have won their case, is what the NCAA told them, had they been able to file a waiver under A&M.
So NCAA never denied it, or did they?
They did. They denied the USC waiver.
They also had a system in place where he was going to be able to go and appeal it. Or
correct, yeah. So they knew that they didn't have a good chance with the USC waiver because it was written poorly. And so they had to roll with that waiver instead of writing a new one. And then they wouldn't have even had AG on their team until January. And they couldn't afford to wait.
All right. So completely different scenarios.
AG's is like the most unique situation. It's not like Bediako. It's not like any of these
people
others.
are using that. Like, hey.
Because Bama fans are just parroting the narrative of their head coach.
They're ignorant of all the details.
Yeah. None of them have done any ounce of research. They just hear Nate Oates bring up Rashawn Agee and they're like, oh, you have a 25-year-old on your team. Oh, all these other teams have European pros. Well, every school knew they were going to be able to recruit the Europeans. Nobody knew you could bring a G League player halfway through the year. And another thing is A&M wasn't going to do anything in Bucky's first year to piss off the NCAA or the SEC. So they went to the SEC and said, here's the facts of our case. Will you support us? Is this the right thing to do with AG? Instead of filing a new waiver and waiting 6 months to just roll with this waiver, and do you accept our narrative to go through the courts with it if we have to? And the SEC said yes. They're like, we support you. Yeah. And then Greg Sankey came out and said what Bediako is doing is wrong. Right. That is the difference.
Huge difference.
Greg Sankey coming out publicly against Alabama.
The commissioner who works in Alabama, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Him coming out against Alabama is pretty damning evidence that that is the wrong thing to do. Going rogue mid-season.
Everybody except Alabama fans understands that you can't do what Alabama tried to do. That rule was actually in place before the season started. Yeah. Before every season has started.
So I'm going to start calling you MSL, Mood Swings Luke.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
because
fair.
when things are good, you're a really happy mood walking around the office.
Yeah.
Okay. Like you're a joy to be around.
Have I been down these last 10
Yesterday
days?
you were down. You even looked at me and said, yeah, I'm not doing well today.
Yeah. Well, Wednesday night was rough. That's just the game you have to have, knowing what's coming up on the schedule. Now, that just means the Georgia win was even more important because you can't afford to go on a 5-game losing streak at any point in the season. They just have to find a way to cap your losing streak at 2 or 3, and I thought that the Missouri opportunity was a better opportunity to do that than going to Vanderbilt. And so when you play an 8-minute stretch of really poor effort basketball, which was really the more frustrating part than losing on the final shot was just how they looked in the middle part of that second half. I thought when they went up 57-50, I was like, oh, they're about to make a run, put this game away like they did against Georgia and like they had done a couple other times. And unfortunately, you let not just Missouri creep back in, but you gave up a 26-9 run. And on that run, they just looked really lazy. And I feel like that was the first time against an opponent that I thought they were better than, that they looked like not the aggressor, and they didn't look like themselves.
They certainly did not dictate the tempo of the game.
They looked like they were playing Florida, and I know Missouri beat Florida, but
they're not Florida.
They're not Florida. They have size, but it's really just Mark Mitchell, and that's it. They made Trent Pierce look like he was Alex Condon.
That team
out
is
there.
good, though, man. They're better.
Missouri's
than
a good team. They are absolutely a bubble tournament team, but you got them at home, and you were up 7. And even then, I was frustrated with how they played in those 8 minutes, going 0 for 10 from the field. But once again, you have to give them credit for how they fought and how they responded to then go on a 13-4 run. And they had the lead, and it was a really entertaining back and forth game in the final 4 minutes. And unfortunately, they just could not get a stop. They had multiple moments where you're a stop and a score away from putting that game out of reach, and they couldn't get a stop. Sometimes they would score, and then when they really needed to, they didn't get a stop and they didn't score.
Yeah, the defense was alarming. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. I was sitting there next to Luke, and unlike Luke, with the 7-point lead, I think it was 57-50, I did not feel comfortable. In fact, I don't think any team led by more than 8 points in that game the whole way.
Yep.
There was still too much time to go, and I know the big kid Phillips is from Missouri, 7 feet tall, is not as talented as like the guys at Florida or Mitchell, who's 6'9" or 6'10". But when you're 7 feet tall and your opponent is sometimes guarding you with a guy that's at times 6'5", all you got to do is throw the ball up to him, and that's what they did. And you don't have to be talented like is it Hoff from Florida who can take it outside and shoot from anywhere. If all I'm asking you to do is get the ball and dunk it at 7 feet, you should be able to do that. And I think Missouri had a lot to do with, sometimes you got to say, hey, man, the other team is not allowing you to force them into what you want them to do.
Yeah.
It was a great basketball game. That was frustrating, that stretch where they missed 10 shots.
Yep.
They were a streaky shooting team. They're not as streaky, dependent on streakies like they were in previous years. But, sometimes they go cold.
Luke, I'm not worried, okay? But I won't be really worried until after this Vanderbilt game. Because the way I look at it is, I just don't think that Missouri matchup was a good matchup for A&M.
Yeah, it's not a good matchup for A&M, but they still, when you make 15 threes
But again, to what OB said, they made 11. They were up 5 at the half.
I know, that was really concerning, and that was when we kind of looked at each other and we're like, they're in trouble because you're not going to shoot 65% from 3 in the second half. So you just thought that eventually they were going to snap out of it, and the defense that we saw for the month of January was going to show up eventually. But I think I'm not concerned about the offense because they showed that they can snap out of it. They're not going to have a 1 for 27 start, hopefully not again. But they'll have their moments where they're hot and cold offensively, but they're going to be hot more often than not. The defense that we've seen in the month of February has been the most concerning part, which you knew this was a poor collection of on-ball and individual defenders, but they were able to mask that for pretty much all of January, and now you're starting to see problems come up again where Missouri could just drive to the basket freely. Their guards who were 6'4", it was like Marcus Hill and Jakari Lane were just mosquitoes to them. And so those defensive problems are starting to come up once again, and that's really concerning.
You want to say something?
I was just going to say that as you go through the season, dictating what you want to do is going to get more difficult because teams have scouted you. They're good coaches. They know what to do. And so the limitations that A&M has are going to be challenged.
Well, and look, we got to hit a break. We're way behind it. I'll say this. AG is now going to have an opportunity to play an AG-style of game because these last 2 games, even though he had a much better second half against Missouri than he had in the first half, those are good matchups for him. But we'll talk about that on the other side. Moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Your trade-in has value, and at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, they're ready to put that equity into work for you. They have a very nice pre-owned inventory that moves fast, which means they're always looking for quality vehicles to add to the lot. Bring in what you've got and let their experienced sales team show you what it's worth. With decades of combined experience, they know how to structure a deal that makes sense for you. And don't forget, every purchase comes with that legendary free oil change for life. No games, no gimmicks, just honest deals from people who treat you like family. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and you do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Time to bank on it, presented by VeraBank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more, VeraBank.com. All right, everybody's going to bank on something, even MSL.
Perfect.
Mood swing Luke. Sorry, go ahead.
Rylan Griffin.
See, you're even saying it sad. Say it happy.
Rylan Griffin to score more than 15 points against Vanderbilt.
Okay. Luke, OB.
Man.
You're much happier.
I thought Mike Farrell insulted me. I guess I'm just stubborn, an old crusty guy. And
conceited too.
Yeah. So I'm going to just bang my head against the wall like I've been doing and say, I'm going to bank on Ruben Dominguez.
I knew it. It's coming.
You know, breaking out of this funk and, you know, hitting at least three-pointers and getting back in double figures and being a factor for the Aggies.
Here's mine. I'm going baseball.
Okay.
Tell me if I'm wrong with two basketball guys that don't know that much about baseball. All right. 6 combined homers, Nygren, all right, from the 3.
Okay.
Hakopian, Grahovic, and Caden Sorrell. This weekend, 6 combined homers.
6 homers for just those 3 guys?
Just those guys. Am I ridiculous for saying that?
No, I mean, those are guys that
somebody can have 3, somebody can have 1.
Right.
2,
there's a lot of power with those guys. So it could happen.
I feel like if one of my sons just broke up with their girl and he needs a
Me?
hug. Yeah, you need a hug.
Wait, no, I'm good.
No, you need a man hug. You want one?
Whoa, pause. I'm good.
You sure?
Yeah.
You agree with my 6 home runs?
Yeah, I mean, love baseball. It's opening. It's opening weekend. Chris Hakopian, you know, the best thing to come from Maryland since crabs and Old Bay seasoning.
Well, it was a good trade. Buzz for Hakopian.
Yeah, do that trade in a heartbeat again.
We got a crab. They got a crab. Not to be condescending or arrogant.
Right, yeah, we don't like to do that about coaches here.
No, and let's not be conceited or crusty on this show anymore, all right? Obi, thank you, sir. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for being more upset about all this stuff with those guys than I am.
I'm just saying, like, not to my guy. You can do it about me, not to my guy. All right, Luke, thank you, buddy. Of
course.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, it's been, people have been waiting outside for this for a long time. The baseball bunch. Bronny, Zane, and Scott Clendenin on Zoom. He can't be here because he's busy. He's got family. But we'll talk to everybody about the baseball season next on TexAgs Live.
And Scott Clendenin's theme song in the background, right there. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Kind of the baseball bunch.
I want to hear Bronny's thoughts on the baseball team.
Yeah, we'll get to Bronny. I think he's coming. Anyway, he's Richard Zane. Scott Clendenin is on the Buffy's Catering and Bartending Hotline, the debut of the 2026 season baseball bunch. Gentlemen, hello.
Howdy.
Good morning.
How are you, Scotty? It's been a minute.
Doing great. Doing great.
Where are you currently? Are you allowed to say?
I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Fun. Got some softball going on?
Softball this afternoon, yes. They moved my morning game to afternoon, so I'm happy to join you and get ready for opening day here there in Aggieland. Exciting time of year.
So, Scotty, I'll start with you. Let's talk to me about where you are with this team entering the season, your optimism, some of your doubts, some of the things that you need to see to kind of change that optimism. Where are you with this team?
I think that, I am optimistic. I think this lineup has some length. I think, yes, when you have a couple freshmen starting in this day and age, instead of somebody that you've kind of grown up on your own or you had transfer portal in, there's always a little bit of question of that. But I think that, when you were talking with Coach early yesterday, he talked about, hey, I want to put out a lineup that doesn't just rely on the top 3 or 4 batters. And I think that that's what this lineup looks like to me. I think that, Kellner, Partita, exciting young players. You mix in, the newcomers that are coming on in Jordan and Dower. I think that this team has some length in that lineup. Really, what I want to see as far as a question mark is, how is the pitching going to be outside of your top 3 starters? I think that's where the injury to earlier this year, when you lose an exciting guy, to an injury, what is Tuesday's going to be? I think we learned last year how important the non-conference is. And if you change, 5 losses that you took last year, I looked at 6 games in non-conference that you lost. Yeah, a couple of those were NCAA teams. But if you change those losses into wins and you're sitting at 36-20 at the end of the year, you're still in a position to go to the NCAA tournament, regardless of what happened. When you're talking about the Missouri series, because you had been tracking up on that, and you're probably not playing with as much pressure as you did when you're playing Missouri. There's a point in time where you had to win every game, every series, because you dug too much of a hole. And I think that's a big key, is this year being better in conference, but also better in the non-conference to not, dig that hole.
All right, Richard, we turn to you. Your expectations, state of Aggie baseball heading into opening night.
Well, I'm ready to stop talking about 2025, right? Yeah. I think all of us are ready to stop talking about 2025 and get the memory of that Missouri series out of our minds, because we know that it tanked their postseason aspirations last year after they had done so much to dig out of that early season hole. This is a completely different team, right? We know the pitching rotation is completely different. 3 new guys after you ran out the same 3 left-handers in every single weekend series last year, so that's going to be a new look. You're losing a all-time great like Jace Lavalette, but you still have all-time talent in Gavin Grahovic, Caden Sorrell, and another first-rounder in Chris Akopian. The talent is there. There's no reason why you should not expect Texas A&M to make the 2026 NCAA tournament, and they have the talent to play their way into hosting a regional if things go their way. Obviously, we know from last year that you've got to stay healthy, but that goes for every team, everywhere, every year. So I don't think you need to be gun-shy about your hope and your aspirations, because this is baseball. The cliche every single season when opening day rolls around is that hope springs eternal, and that should be the case here in Aggieland, because they've got the talent, both on the mound and in the lineup. They've got the offensive firepower. They've got the arms with the talent to get things done. It's just going to have to all come together. There's a lot of unknowns. It's okay to have questions, but I don't think you need to be gun-shy because of last year. This is a completely new year. Michael Early has changed his approach. I think that's awesome. Seen some really exciting things in the preseason and in the build-up, specifically Aiden Sims. I'm really excited to watch him on Sunday. But there's some things out there real reasons for optimism and real reason to expect great things this spring.
Scotty, we've talked about your perception of the program, but what about the national perception of where A&M is right now, right? I think 11th in the SEC is what they were projected, also 25th. Do you think that's fair considering what they've added and what happened at the end of last year?
I think it's fair. I think that, they're projecting you to be a team that doesn't make the NCAA tournament to being a 2 seed. And I think that's fair. I think that you look at the teams that are projected right now to be 1 seeds, and what they have coming back makes them 1 seed type material. I think that the schedule is, balanced. It's not the hardest schedule in the SEC, which A&M had last year. And it's not the easiest schedule in the SEC. So there's some balance. You're going to have to play, some potential top 8 national seeds, definitely preseason when you talk about Texas, when you talk about Mississippi State, and then when you talk about LSU. So I think that those things are there that you can look and say, hey, if this is going to be a typical Aggie baseball season, you can have that. People forget that 3 years ago, Auburn was in the College World Series. The next year, they didn't make the NCAA tournament. And last year, again, they were a national seed. So, that is the wave. If you get behind the 8 ball in this league, it doesn't matter what the name on your jersey is. You've got to be prepared to fall down the ladder because other teams are trying to jump up. So a 2 seed being fair, I think most everybody has A&M on the cusp of being a regional host or a 2 seed. And I think that's a fair position considering the firepower and the potential draft picks that you're going to bring back. You've got a guy with a pedigree to be a Friday night starter in the SEC, and you've got 3 All-Americans in your batting lineup. A&M last year had the Friday night guy who didn't perform to the expectations you had of him, but you only had 1 of your 3 potential first-round draft picks stay in the lineup all year long. So, that's the difference is this year does resemble that. If you can put 3 All-Americans at the top of the lineup and give you some of that offensive punch that you were missing in the early part of the season.
Richard?
I think the preseason projections and all of that, we see it in every sport. It just goes off of last year, and we saw it at the beginning of 2025 in the other direction, right? A&M came within a run or 2 of winning a national title in 24. They had all this returning talent. Oh, lo and behold, they're number 1 in the country entering the preseason. Everyone had them as consensus number 1 team in the preseason. You're kind of seeing the flip side of that this year. Everyone knows that A&M has the talent, but based off of last year, everyone in the national media is a little gun shy. Go out and prove teams wrong. To Scott's point, you're going to see some really talented teams throughout this conference schedule when we get there. But in just 3 weeks' time, you're going to see the number 1 team in the country in a one-off with the number 1 draft prospect in Chalowski, UCLA, up at Arlington. So there's going to be opportunities early and often to prove people wrong. You just have to go out and do it. What I like about this team, and in speaking to some of the players in the preseason, they felt like last year a bunch of guys kind of folded under the pressure of those preseason expectations. They feel much looser this season, and for good reason. They don't have the magnifying glass, the microscope on them entering opening day, and it should allow them to play free and easy in the early go.
All right, Richard, Scotty already kind of answered this, but we all know that health is a key component for the success of this year's team. What would be the next biggest reason for success if you were to put one?
For me, it's always starting pitching. I think the game begins and ends with starting pitching. If everybody stays healthy in the lineup and all of your athletes play 56 games or however many games are on the schedule this year, that's awesome. Still have questions to be answered about the starting pitching. We haven't seen Shane Sadeo in 614 days to Olin Buchanan's chagrin since that partial UCL tear in the second game of that Super Regional. Weston Moss has never been a starter consistently for Texas A&M. He has 2 collegiate starts under his belt. And then Aiden Sims, he's got a 7.62 career ERA. But in the fall and then in the preseason, he has been a stud and has a chance to be famous by the time conference play begins. There are a lot of questions with those 3. And then it's all about how does the bullpen look? How does that stack up? Who do they have? Who can they trust? Because really it was just 2 guys last year in Moss, who's now making the move to the bullpen. And then late in the year, Freshcorn really emerged. Think about that LSU series specifically. Now they've got a guy like Ethan Darden. Josh Stewart's back from injury. You've got a guy like Gavin Lyons, who has pitched on Tuesdays and has that real funny arm angle. You've got a guy from Tennessee Tech, Juan Vargas. They have some serious options down there, but what roles do they fall into? How do they solidify the bullpen? Because it's going to begin and end with starting pitching, and then we're still longing for the guy that can somewhat fill the shoes of Evan Ashenbeck and make you feel comfortable when he trots out of the bullpen in the late innings.
Scotty, the beginning of last season, beyond the first series, is where things went super south and they dug themselves in a huge hole. And then when they kind of dug themselves out of that hole, you had more mishaps. So how important is, for just the confidence of this program, the early part of the season before you get to Arlington?
I think it's huge. I also think that that's where whoever you run out in the first 2 weekends and your midweek, when you get to Arlington, I think you're looking, say, hey, if we were playing at Oklahoma this weekend instead of going to Arlington, is this my team? Now, when you play Virginia Tech, when you're playing UCLA, Arizona State, I've ramped up to a level where how did they perform in that situation? If everything is going well, then you have one more week to solidify, to get your rotation, to make sure that your pitch counts are ready. All of that kind of builds to Arlington. And then you have the next week to reset. Maybe your freshmen aren't ready. Maybe another freshman has established himself as a prospect that needs to be on the field. How do I adjust things before you go to Oklahoma? I think it sets up well. I like the fact when A&M does have this tournament that it's 2 weeks from SEC play, so you have that chance to make the adjustment. That's why I'm looking at, I didn't say that A&M needed to go undefeated in non-conference play, because you are playing UCLA, you are playing Arizona State. Virginia Tech is a team that's a bubble team to go to the NCAAs. So I think that you just have to continue to, not give away Tuesday games and build towards Oklahoma. And because Oklahoma's a team that's on the bubble as well. They're a team that's kind of predicted a little bit below you. So I think that the early part of the season gives you that opportunity to build up this team, to have some confidence, but also have that team on the field every day. I think that's the one thing is A&M never had the number one preseason team on the field. It got to be a broken record last year, but you got Caden Sorrell back until he was injured again. And you're like, this more resembles the team that A&M was supposed to have in the preseason. Nobody talks about Virginia, who didn't have the offseason injuries. That was a number 2 team in the country last year and didn't go to the NCAA tournament. It happens when you're playing at the highest level that if you get behind the 8 ball, sometimes it crumbles on you. A&M wants to be away from that, and I think not having the huge spotlight them as a top 25 team or borderline right out of it in a couple of the other national publications is that you can build this team back until you play UCLA. Win or lose, the UCLA game is not going to determine your season, but it's a great measuring stick because also it's not your Friday night guy going against them. Weston Moss by that time will be established as a starter, and you'll see against a top number 1 team and maybe a team that can win the national championship away from the SEC, you're going to see him in that role. And I think that's what this team can build towards before they get to Arlington, is having everybody established in their roles.
Building confidence, to Scott's point, is going to be huge, and I'm thinking about 2, maybe 3 guys that are going to be getting their first taste of collegiate baseball this weekend. A couple of them on the left side of the infield, Nico Partita, Boston Kellner. There's a chance that the third outfield spot falls to Jorian Wilson out of Hallettsville. Those guys have never faced collegiate pitching, and I know this is Tennessee Tech we're talking about. It's not LSU or UCLA or any of the top 5 teams in the country. These rotations, these pitching staffs aren't going to be that elite that they're going to face in the early going, but it is a jump up. So how comfortable, how confident can they get moving into that trip to Arlington before conference play begins? That's going to be huge. That's another portion, to Scott's point, of having the team on the field, because those 3 guys, they haven't played college baseball, literally ever.
So, Richard, I'll keep it with you. We're all ready to move on from 25, right? We're all of us. And you can hear it in Coach Early's voice when he talks about it. Like, he's done learning, I think is what he said, right? It's time to start winning. But how important is it for him to get off to a good start, just for him personally?
I think perception I think it matters. I do, at least to us sitting here talking and the fans in the ballpark. Maybe it doesn't matter to the guys in the clubhouse or in the coaches' locker rooms, anything like that, but I'm sure they hear some of the noise, right? It would be a lot more comfortable of a feeling for him and his coaching staff if they go out and they win each game this weekend by a score of 15-0, and then do that again next weekend, and then have some real juices flowing before they go to Arlington. That would be awesome for them. But to Mike Early and his staff, I think they just need to see the team play clean baseball. I think they're confident in what they have. I think they're okay being an underdog on the national perspective, but they just need to see it when the lights come on. There's going to be a lot of things proven this weekend. It might not be reflected in the box score or in the final scores, but there's going to be some things shown to this coaching staff that gives them an idea of, okay, what we thought we had in the preseason we truly do have, or maybe we need to make some moves here early on before the SEC gets here.
Scott, your thoughts on this early part, just for Early himself?
Well, I think that you have enough newcomers on this team that didn't have anything to do with last year, and I can understand that. You change your coaching staff a little bit. Cliff Pennington is coming off a lot of success at Dallas Baptist. He was here before, as a graduate assistant on teams that had success. How can A&M, having success or not having success phase a guy like Cliff Pennington? I mean, he played for the Oakland A's when they were good, and then he played for the Oakland A's when they decided they were going to dump salary. He's already been through the wars. He understands, what it was like to play at a high level at A&M and then also have a disappointing season where your head coach loses his job. All of these guys have gone through that, and that's what they're turning to when they go up in the coach's office. Says, how do you deal with this, coach? How do you deal with, that, hey, I haven't broken through yet? Do you think that the competition is just going to end this week? No. Michael Early is going to talk to all these guys and, hey, maybe you aren't in the lineup right now. Maybe we have gone with a couple upperclassmen, or maybe they took the challenge. Maybe they see the talent of the freshmen that are around them and say, hey, I didn't just show up at A&M thinking they were going to hand me a job. I'm a junior. I've been through this. I need to be prepared. So I think it all comes together, and Michael Early doesn't have to talk about it. Yes, the focus of last year is an exterior focus on the team. I think this team has had a great mindset since they got back last fall, and they've carried it on to this spring. I don't look at them as really being an underdog. If you're the 25th rated team in the country and you're a top 10 team in the SEC, yes, there's a little more focus on other teams in the SEC, but I don't think it's a lack of respect that A&M has at any point this year. I think they're in a position where if you had your starting rotation leave and an All-American, your all-time home run leader leave, that there would be some questions about where you're going to end up at. The teams that are coming back with some of those questions answered are the only ones that are in front of you in SEC preseason rankings. So I think that he has had a great mindset on it, and the pressure isn't going to be on him anymore or any less once they cross the line. And I think that, he can see that we can just go play baseball, and then we can make adjustments to be the best baseball team we can be by the time we get to Arlington, and then 2 weeks later when they go to Oklahoma.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back with a baseball bunch. Right now, if you're serious about getting organized and confident when it comes to your finances, take a look at Aggie-owned Paragon Financial Advisors. They're an independent fiduciary serving clients all across Texas. You get no commissions there, no product sales, just thoughtful financial planning and investment management. And the different path that they take is they have 8 CFPs on their team. They have a CFA on their team. And credentials matter, and so does what is right for the client at Paragon Financial. Learn more at paragon-adv.com or call them up 979-693-3907 to schedule your free consultation today. It is Paragon Financial Advisors, integrity, expertise, and trust. Paragon Financial Advisors.
And we are back. It's TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, the Baseball Bunch. He's Richard Zane. We've got Scott Clendenin on the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline. All right, let's This segment, I want to focus on some of this offense, right? Gavin, Caden, Chris. These guys are projected first rounders, right? How good can this offense be, starting with that nucleus, and then how it trickles around? Richard, start us off.
You want me to go person by person, player by player?
Person, then cluster.
Okay, so Gavin Grahovac in 2024 set the program freshman record with 23 home runs. He
as
did
a freshman.
it with the freshman record.
Yeah.
He did that with a hurt shoulder. I don't think everybody realizes that. He played most of that campaign injured, and then obviously it never got better. He had to call it a year after 6 games in 25. This is the first time you're going to see Gavin Grahovac in an Aggie uniform with 2 healthy shoulders at 100%, and that should excite you. You saw on Saturday in the maroon and white scrimmage, he hit a home run. It was his 3rd in as many days. I asked him if he was going to save any for when the games count, and he said you can bet on it. He has an opportunity to have an insane year. I know a lot of people had some serious questions about his swing and miss rate as a true freshman. He's more mature. He's worked on his plate approach and his discipline at the dish. He should be primed for an outstanding junior season now that he's completely healthy. Caden Sorrell, the left-handed hitter, one of your few lefties, all he did in 26 games was post an OPS over 1,200. It was insane. He was a man amongst boys in the best college baseball conference in the country. Expect him to continue that. Oh, and he's an elite defender in the outfield. He's going to play center field for the Aggies. I think he's probably got the highest upside of the 3 just because of what he can do defensively as well. And then Chris Hakopian, all he was in the transfer portal was the highest rated bat in the portal. And he's come in, he's an All-American, he's an all Big 12 player. He's a career 347 hitter. He's got 30 home runs in his career. Like, he is a stud. And he wanted to be here because he has aspirations of playing professional baseball. He said, if I can't play in the SEC, then I don't deserve to play in the pros. So he sought out competition, if that tells you anything about Hakopian's mindset. So the 3 of them, the top of the lineup, I called it a power trio, a powerful trio, in a story earlier this week. A lot of reason for optimism. To me, what the offense is going to be is going to depend a lot on what happens in 4 through 9 behind those 3 guys. But those 3 dudes, when they come up, are going to be hell on pitchers, whether they're at Tennessee Tech or Tennessee, whether they're non-conference opponents or SEC opponents. Those 3 guys are going to be dangerous to everybody who's on the bump.
Scotty, your thought on the cluster of those 3?
I think that it resembles what you wanted to have last year. And I think that's when, how are you going to replace, Laviolette? Well, you go out and you get Hakopian, who has the pedigree to be a first-round pick. Then you have the other guys back. Everybody knew that Jace was going to break the all-time home run record. That was just how he was going to play. It became harder when he didn't have as much protection last year. But there's a significant portion that thought that Gavin Grahovac would be able to break his record this year because of how he was as a freshman. Caden Sorrell didn't start as early as Gavin Grahovac did, but he was a guy that might set the single-season record for A&M home runs. So their pedigree was there 2 years ago, and they were building towards this. So I think that those 3 guys are going to be as good as any 3 players in the lineup for any SEC team. And that it doesn't matter if it's a preseason number 1 team or if it's a national host. Those 3 guys could walk in and take the spots, 3 spots in the lineup for any team that A&M plays this year. Now, what are you going to see when you're talking about experienced guys behind them? What are you going to get from Wesley Jordan, who has been very good with the bat? He's coming off an injury that kind of slots him into a DH role. Well, the good thing is Gavin Grahovac says, hey, coach, let me be a team guy. I'll go over and play first base so you can get Partita and you can get Kellner on the field at the same time. The team mindset from the top 3 guys carries on. Hakopian comes in. I don't know. I kind of in our preseason predictions thought maybe he's going to get to the point where he goes back to play shortstop because he's good enough, to go play that natural position. Otherwise, if he stays at second, he's not going to have anything but a team attitude to be the best second baseman he can be, because that might be where he projects as a pro anyway. So I just look at this mix from 4 through 9, and I mean, we completely overlooks what Bear Harrison did. Mm-hmm. And I think that Bear Harrison, with protection, is a guy that can be what the best of Bear Harrison was last year, which was a 350 hitter that was, a dangerous guy in the middle of the lineup. There's another guy. Is he going to be 4, 5, or 6? There can be some depth and length in this lineup because you have a top 3 that stays locked in for the majority of the season.
You mentioned the experience of a Bear Harrison and the experience of a guys that are new to Aggies, but well-versed in college baseball, and Wesley Jordan, Jake Dewar, if he ends up being the third outfielder. What about a guy like Terrence Keel? He hit .297 last year as a true freshman. You can expect more from him. I don't know if he's going to ever be a power hitter because of his frame, but you can expect some more pop and more power as he's got another year under his belt in a strength and conditioning program. But he's still going to be the same singles hitter, the speed threat. That's an important piece down the lineup because there's going to be some growing pains from the true freshmen, Kellner and Partita. That's an important piece, Terrence Keel. And then the other factor here is the leadership of Grahovic and Sorrell and Hakopian. And Scott, you touched on it a little bit with Gavin being a team guy making the move from third to first. All 3 of those guys lead in different ways. Gavin Grahovic's the vocal guy. It's a lot more lead by example from Caden Sorrell. And then I know from talking to different guys and talking to Chris Hakopian himself, he is not afraid, even though he's a newcomer to College Station, to go put his arm around these younger guys, tell them what he's seeing and help them along. So you've got a bunch of leaders, not only statistically and athletically atop of the lineup, but they're also leading the clubhouse and making this team what they want it to be.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with more. Right now, we're talking about Heritage Films preserving family stories that would be lost otherwise. Your family's got a story. It can be from 100 years ago. It can be going on right now. And what Chance McClain and his team does is they tell these stories in documentary form for the future generations and also for right now. So you can kind of enjoy it, sit back with your family, and enjoy your family story. We all do have a story, everybody. Richard, myself, Reese, Scott, we all have a story that can be told. Our parents have a story. And when you do not tell that story and keep it captured, you're going to lose it for the future generations. And Chance McClain and his team make sure that that story is captured. What you need to do is call them up at 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341, or go to yourheritagefilm.com. That is yourheritagefilm.com.
And we're back. It's called TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Hour number 2 of the program, the baseball bunch, Richard Zane, Scott Clendenin on the Buppies Catering and Bartending Hotline, and Ryan Brauninger is now with us. Bronny, we've done a lot of talking, but I want to at least start off with you, your state of the program entering this opening weekend.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that Coach Early has said, and like noticeably more confident and like not looking for the confidence, like trying to dig down deep and fight it. Like he's just confident. And one of my favorite things that he said the other day when he was with us was, maybe it was with y'all. He said, everybody's talking about being cautiously optimistic. He's like, you don't need to be cautious. This team's good. And so I think when you look at, number one, the changes that were made in the offseason from the operations and procedures off the field, on the field, there's some things that they did within the clubhouse and the locker room that I didn't even know until this week. Like, your locker has to be set up this way. If it's not, you are punished for it. So, like, taking control of everything in the program, making the program uniquely his, not trying to carry it over from what was before him. I like that. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about it a lot, you and I have, David. Like, he's very self-aware. Like, you can't say that about the guy. Whether he wins baseball games or not, we'll see. He's self-aware. He understands that his seat was extremely hot through the offseason, and he got another opportunity to come back and run the program. And so he was going to right as many wrongs as he could from last year. And, within that, he has added, like, the baseball version. So there's, like, a off-the-field version of that and what that looks like, and then there's the baseball version of that, and it's 2-strike plans. It is how you run bases every time, not like sometimes. And if you won't respond to the way he's pushing you on this stuff, you can go home. There's been players sent home from practice with like, hey, I warned you once. We're not even going to talk about it anymore. So, like, just a line in the sand. And he understands what this season's about. He has built a roster and put together a team that can handle those expectations from a talent perspective. But he's got to pull, like, that talent and that ability has a ceiling. Everybody in this league has talent and ability. Like, it's about the other things outside of that allow you to reach the ceiling of your team. And I like what he's done, at least going into the year. Whether these changes and procedures and standards result in wins, who knows? But you have to say that over the course of the offseason, he addressed the things that needed to be addressed.
Do you have your own projections for them, or is it a TBD for you? You have to see some things early.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict. Like, they're talented enough to host a regional. Like, no question. There's no question about that. Where you worry is depth on the mound. But I think, maybe outside of Arkansas, Texas has got a good staff this year, but there's not a lot of teams across college baseball that you're going, man, they're 10, 12 guys deep. TCU was. Richard and I sat here and watched TCU roll out 94-97 for about 12 innings, and guess who won that game? A&M. And they pitched better than that TCU did with all that arm talent. So, it's an intriguing role. I was talking to Kendall Rogers about A&M. He's like, man, that's a huge blow with Caden McCoy being out for the year. I'm like, yeah, it sucks. Like, it stinks for the kid. It stinks for the team. I said, but he didn't throw one pitch in the fall because he was dealing with that meniscus in his knee. Mm-hmm. So A&M pitched extremely well in the fall without him. And so they are they've got answers to those questions in the bullpen. That is where your trepidation lies, is how many of those guys are going to be able to step up and get the outs that they need. And then you just got to have some guys bounce back off of injury. Like, you got to have a good version of Shane Sadeo. You got to have a good version of Josh Stewart, and you obviously have to have a good version of Gavin and Sorrell. Like, the stars have to be stars. They were sort of last year, but they really weren't, right? And what you did not hit on the transfer portal like you thought you probably should have last year. We'll see what happens this year, but I'm just more bullish on the state of the program because of the mentality within the building.
Scott, let's go back to you. When we're talking about health, Josh Stewart, Shane Sadeo, what are you thinking about them this year?
Well, I think that they're going to be hungry. I think that they are going to be, wanting to be the best, present the best themselves. These are two guys that were locked into the program last year when they weren't playing. I mean, if you got there early or you went to practice, Shane Sadeo's working at first base every day, being part of the team. being locked in. And I think that is what being a good teammate and being a leader on this team. How can I help? Gavin Grahovic was, it ate him up last year to not be playing, but he was always right there by the coaches, in the dugout. So I think that they watched the game from a new perspective. I think that they just have to get to where they trust their stuff. I think that that's one of the early things about this season is with your pitching staff, have your pitching staff go out against somebody that doesn't know all your stuff, that you can dominate and have some success. That's why what happened last weekend in the scrimmage was so exciting. What Aiden Sims has done this year has been so exciting is because these hitters already know Aiden Sims. They see him all the time, and he's still able to go out and have the success that he had. So I think that this team can absorb losing a starting pitcher. That's part of what college baseball is about. That's why I talked about what are they going to have on Tuesdays. If you have 4 starters and one of them goes down, that leads to a hole. It usually leads to a hole in Tuesdays, and A&M can't have the production, what happened in the early part of the year in your non-conference happen again. It's opened up an opportunity for some guys to go out there. And I think that those pitchers have got to step forward, find who that 4th starter is in the early going, because you want to know who that is and have them established on the weekend to where I'm not looking at the 4th starter rotating into a weekend rotation. That's one of the crazy things about last year and the 3 starters going out each and every weekend is in the early going last year, it was like, is Weston Moss going to be the 4th starter or not? He ended up being a key member as swing guy in the bullpen, and you didn't even then start him on Tuesdays. That's why he only has 2 career starts. So this pitching staff has the guys out there. And I think when they see somebody that's not in their same uniform, that you're not tricking, but the familiarity of your stuff, quite a bit different when you're having to see the depth of the A&M lineup week after week. And, I think that they have the opportunity to have success in those key bullpen guys and the guys coming back from injury.
That 4th guy, to Scott's point, might be Clayton Freshcorn. If you went out to Bluebell Park last Saturday for that scrimmage, you saw how awesome Aiden Sims was. 5 scoreless innings. But look at Freshcorn's line. He gave up 3 hits. One of them was a solo home run to Gavin Grahovic, and then he gave up 2 singles to the next 2 guys in the lineup, Sorrell and Hakopian. He faced what I expect to be something along the lines of Texas A&M's opening day lineup. He gave up 1 run. That was it. We saw what he was at the end of last year, where he was turning into a nice piece out of the bullpen. Could he slide into that slot that Weston Moss occupied last year and then be ready to step into the starting spot this year? The arm talent's there. It's now all about him putting it all together.
Ronnie, if I told you you're going to get the best version of Sadeo and you're going to get the best version of Josh Stewart, I just said those 2 lines, what does that make you feel about this?
Well, it makes you feel like you're going to be competitive in 2 of the 3 weekend games. That's just off the top of my head because you feel good about Weston Moss, right? Mm. And then if Shane is good, then you're going to feel as good as you possibly can in those pitching matchups in the first 2 games of each and every weekend. Richard mentioned Aiden Sims. Like, we got to discuss him because if it wasn't for 2 veteran presences ahead of him, he might be getting the ball tonight. That's how good he's been. He will be a truly unique look in terms of quality on Sundays. If he keeps going the way he's been, I don't know that there's going to be a Sunday starter with his type of stuff and his type of profile. It's a ton of strikes. It's 91 to 96. It's a 3,000 spin rate on the breaking ball. Like, it is big stuff. And
he's a future Friday night starter
for sure. And it could be he could be getting the ball tonight if Weston Moss and Shane Sadeo weren't on your roster. That's how good he's been. But you're asking specifically about Shane, if he's great, if he's back to his old self, then I think you feel really good in your pitching matchup on 2 of the 3, with the 3rd being Sims, and you're going, well, if I'd just seen more, I'd feel better about it. He's just inexperienced. He's not lacking in talent at all. But then on the back end with Josh Stewart, the reason why I think it affects at least 1 game on the weekend is because he can give you some length if necessary. The thing about Josh is he's been like elite command. Like, even the other day, they had an infield error that it kind of got away from him, but he's throwing strikes. And that's one of the things that has really marked his his outings of late leading into the preseason or leading into the season has been like, hey, like Stewart gave up 2 hits, but he threw like 90-something% strikes. So it's good to have him around the strike zone and he can be efficient, and then it will help him with some of that bounce back stuff. But yeah, if Josh and Shane are what we think they can be, they're massive pieces to this puzzle.
All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back. Right now, Milliken Reserve is a farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces, and they have a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community. They have respect for the native landscape and the wildlife with 2,600 acres of open space. They've got farms, they've got 30 miles of trails, they have homes, and they want to connect families to nature and to each other. They have an extensive network of trails throughout a wooded landscape that includes walking and equestrian paths, creeks and ponds, and gathering areas. Milliken Reserve is committed to maintaining and restoring that natural habitat. When you go there, they're going to provide a natural setting for people to come together, relax, and reflect, and just be outdoors with the people that you love the most. You can go hiking there, biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails, evening yoga, summer camps, music festivals, farmer markets, and farm tours. If you want to learn more, just go to millikenreserve.com. That is millikenreserve.com.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way.
Let's go to Double Dave's. Double Dave's.
Keep going.
Nope, that's it.
Bronny, defense. Obviously, you've been to some practices, scrimmage. What have you seen defensively that, or I don't know how you can talk about defense, but it's just a cleaner brand, I guess?
Well, we'll see. Like, there's some questions about the defense, too, because when you're going to start an infield of 2 true freshmen and then 2 guys that are playing new positions, there's going to be questions. Part of the defense as well is the outfield defense where you feel extremely good about. Yeah, you're confident that Cliff Pennington has prepared these guys, but Nico Partita and Boston Kellner are going to get in situations where the game's going to be a little bit fast. They are supremely talented players, but there are some questions about the defense. And it may, like, to me this year, there's more of a legitimate reason to say, hey, just be patient with the defense and see if they'll come along, right? Whereas last year, that's what happened. But last year, you had a bunch of old guys, and the defense wasn't great. This year, you're having 4 new guys on the dirt in 4 new positions, or 2 true freshmen and then 2 in new positions. So it may take a little bit for all of this to kind of gel defensively.
While we're talking defensively, Bear Harrison has made some strides behind the plate with Troy Claunch. Looks better receiving the ball, better throwing the ball as well. That's a key piece to your defense as well as I watch a pass ball allow a run to score in Clearwater. So,
Scotty, defense?
I think that I like what Bronny said right there. I also think that even though you have guys in new positions, you have Grahovic with experience, Akopian with experience. They can try to help slow that down. Say it's a day where Jorian Wilson is in the outfield. You got 2 guys that are All-American type defenders out there that can talk with him to slow them down. And I think that helps that you have experience with guys around you. And you've got to lean on them, okay? You've got to lean on what Cliff Pennington's been working with you on all offseason. I mean, there's a reason why we're putting you in the starting lineup at third base of your Partita. There's a reason why we're putting you in the starting lineup if you're Kellner. And if you have played at that level, don't let the game get too fast and let your talent show. And I think that's a key. You also have some experience in your pitching staff who have got to realize that if we're putting some freshmen out there, if they make a mistake, you've got to be able to push through that. Bronny talked about what happened this last week with Stewart. You didn't make a play, a run scored, but Stewart kept throwing strikes. He was mentally tough in that situation, and I think that's one of the things this pitching staff has got to do if you have a day where the defense struggles a little bit. But, I like what you have as far as having experienced outfielders, an experienced catcher. You do have a new guy in the middle at shortstop, but Akopian has got to be a guy that's going to turn that double play at a high level and build some trust in what you're going to do. And I think this day and age in baseball, Bronny can speak to this as well. You see a lot of guys that can play other positions going to first base. It's not just where you're putting an old guy that can't play anywhere else anymore. First base has become a position where you can put some athletic first basemen that can go help you and help you make some plays defensively at first base where you're not just giving that up to a non-athletic guy. And I'm looking forward to watching Grahovic field that first base because I think he's made strides too. What you saw him, in the fall doing some stuff at first base, he was just trying to work on the process. I think he's worked really hard to make himself into a first baseman that they can trust over there.
You can't have a great infield defense without a good first baseman. I mean, that's Taylor's oldest time in baseball. You got to have somebody to be able to pick the throws out of the dirt, make the bad ones look good. And I think Gavin, in terms of that profile, he can do that.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Bronny, stick around for a little bit with Billy. Richard, good job. Scotty, enjoy your trip, buddy. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to hit a break here. When we come back, Billy Liucci will be in studio. He won't be studying. And we will continue our baseball dialogue. Of course, get into some basketball later on in the hour as the Aggies go to Vanderbilt. and a little NFL Combine chit-chat with Billy. All that and more is TexAgs Live. It's kind of an extension of the baseball bunch, but just us two knuckleheads talking. Ryan Brauninger here in studio till Billy gets here. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Yes, sir?
Hand up. I was late.
You weren't late.
I was late.
I was planning for you to show up at 9:30.
No, you weren't. Go to bed at between 4 and 5 in the morning. And I honestly thought that we were on at 10. I completely forgot that Billy's on at 10 every Friday. Football, like it's football. He's on Fridays at 10. Baseball, I just assumed we were at 10 o'clock. My fault. Again, hand up. I woke up at 9 o'clock even, and then Richard's like, "Hey, are you coming in?" I was like, "Oh, I guess so."
It's all right. I want to ask you about plate discipline and the teams that went deep in the College World Series. They were very good with plate discipline. What do you expect to see this year?
Well, there's the simple version is to get back to what a Michael Early offense typically looks like. And again, within that is a very simplistic overview of offensive baseball, which is take the balls and swing at the strikes. It's as elementary as you can make it, but within that, there is a lot of minutia that requires you to be really good at those things. And for instance, Gavin Grahovic was a freshman All-American, SEC Freshman of the Year in 2024. But you can go back and look, and his chase rate was too high. And even in that brief period where we saw him play last year, the chase rate was still a little high for a kid who is that talented. So for Gavin Grahovic, what it looks like is spitting on the slider, taking the slider that starts on the plate and finishes off. I mean, that is highlighted in big and starred real big in his scouting report, right? If you can get ahead of him, throw the slider for a strike that ends as a ball, you'll get chase out of it. So what has he done, like specifically for Gavin, to take balls, swing at strikes? Well, he's made some mechanical changes to his swing and to his approach. And if you are an Aggie baseball fan, like you really dive into this stuff, you'll notice it tonight when he walks to the plate. Like there's like a gather toe tap movement. If you think Prince Fielder, Sammy Sosa had one. So it's like a gather step, and it's trying to just get him to settle in one spot.
Is it like a rhythm-based thing?
It's a little bit of a rhythm, but it's like more of a gather to – when you hit, one of the things that you want to do, like all the good hitters, their heads move, but not a lot. And what happens is if you get overloaded and your head goes too far backwards, or I get overloaded and now I'm trying to get off of this backside and fire forward, now my head goes forward. And you can see what kind of problems that would cause when you're trying to hit a baseball traveling 93 miles an hour. Like you're speeding up that collision. That's one of the reasons why one of the most overrated, old school overrated qualities that a hitter can have is bat speed. If I'm throwing a ball at Reese and it's traveling really quickly, like think about when you catch a ball, like if I was throwing a ball to Reese, he would want to be moving slow to catch it. Right? I mean, there's a little bit of speed, but you don't have to be so fast to catch it because you won't be accurate. So, like, bat speed, not a huge deal. Barrel accuracy, way bigger of a deal. So what Gavin is working on is to, like, gather himself, right? And so his head doesn't move as much. So what does that help with? Pitch recognition. You know, good hitters have great eyes. And it's because their head doesn't move. So for Gavin, it looks different. For Caden Sorrell, it looks like I am so talented that I can hit a bunch of different pitches. I can hit them. I can put them in play, but should I? So for Caden Sorrell, what it looks like is aggressive to my best areas of the zone. He likes to hit early in counts, and if they throw it in his wheelhouse, dude, he crushes ball. We've seen him do it for 2 years now. But what can get him in trouble is I swing at the pitch that is a strike early in the count, but it's not a great strike for me to hit. But I can hit it, so he swings at it. So that is kind of just diving into two specific guys and what it looks like, plate discipline and how it improves over the course of a career. And as a team, though, they got to get back to it. And it's been highly, highly stressed in the practices and in the preseason scrimmages. Get to first base. Just get to first base in any way possible. You're going to see them look different with two strikes for the most part, like just about all the hitters. There's some guys that will have the freedom to kind of swing how they want with two strikes. But you're going to see a lot of guys change their plan, change their setup with two strikes just to be a pest in an effort to get to first base.
So my bank on it today on the show earlier, brought to you by Vera Bank, by the way, was that we would see 6 home runs combined from the big three this weekend. Am I ridiculous I don't think that's a ridiculous number, am I?
Well, you know, my biggest nemesis might rear its ugly head to start the year here on Sunday. It's a north wind.
Oh, the north wind, yeah.
Bronny versus the north winds, like Nuño versus the open segment, if you ask Billy. 6 might be a little ambitious.
Okay.
But it's not certainly like you probably should have gone with like 4.5 as an over-under.
Yeah, but it's bank on it. You got to go, because nobody remembers unless you're
Even
right.
4.5 is big. I mean, you're talking about each guy hitting one. And
I don't know. I felt like Gavin Grahovic hit a home run every time he was at bat over the last month.
But, you know, these things are cyclical, right?
Yeah.
They kind of go up and down in waves. What's going to be interesting is, like, I don't know anything about Tennessee Tech. I know they were picked to the bottom of the Ohio Valley Conference. From what I understand, a lot of their top players from last year's team are elsewhere, like Juan Vargas, which I'm starting to think about. Juan Vargas has been one of their more reliable bullpen arms, especially right-handed bullpen arms, kind of outside of the big time, like the frontline guys. Juan Vargas might be like sitting right there next to him. So they're gonna need him to get big outs over the course of the season. But this weekend, Can you run Juan Vargas out there if the game's close in the 6th inning? Because it's the only guy on your staff that the other team has any kind of familiarity with.
Right.
So whereas he might be super effective against Tennessee, he might not be as effective against Tennessee Tech.
Yeah, that's right.
So it'll be interesting to see how they manage that this weekend. But I think that when I'm looking at this team, I'm so intrigued by the infield defense and then what happens on the mound after those 3 weekend starters. Probably from arm 6 through 10.
Okay.
Feel good about Sadeo. Now, Sadeo might have to knock some rust off. Like, don't be surprised if you go out there tonight. He's not super sharp. He's just hadn't pitched in 18 months. Sadeo, Moss, Sims. Freshcorn's been really good again in the preseason. Kind of got to show me, though. Last year he struggled early, was really good late. Ethan Darden has been awesome. Really, really good. I don't think they're going to pitch him on Tuesdays. I just think he's going to be too valuable on the weekend.
Yeah.
I also don't think Clayton Freshcorn is going to pitch on Tuesday.
So who'll pitch on Tuesday?
I think it'll be Hunter Vincent, true freshman out of Prosper, who gives you some Asa Lacy vibes. And that's the ceiling.
Yep.
The same way that if they start Jorian Wilson tonight or they give him opportunities early and he starts having success and he starts believing he's supposed to be here, Jorian Wilson elevates the ceiling of your team because of his raw talent. Hunter Vincent does that on the pitching side. Like Hunter Vincent may spray it, he may throw it to the backstop 3 times in an inning, but he also might strike out the 3 consecutive hitters. If you want to think back to Corbin Martin when he was at Texas A&M, Corbin Martin was notorious for walking 2, striking out 3 in an inning. It is what it is. The stuff's so good, but it sprays. But if Hunter Vincent can start believing, I can do this, I just got to compete in the strike zone, he can overwhelm people. So I think Hunter Vincent will probably be, or has a chance to be your Tuesday night starter. But I'm less worried about that. I'm more worried about if you see Hunter Vincent out of the pen this weekend, that means they're more confident in him than I even thought, right? Because if you start him on a Tuesday, you're giving him a little bit of leash and a window to not be sharp early and let him work through it. If you're bringing him into a leverage scenario on the weekend, on opening weekend, you think this kid's ready. So I would be encouraged by that, but I think they're going to go with him on Tuesdays.
Okay, we talked about what's different offensively, at least from coaching mindset and some of the mechanics. What about pitching wise? What can we expect different?
Well, I don't know. The thing that you're going to see different with the pitching, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, is the personalities are 180 degrees different from last year's staff. At least on the leadership side, where you had Prager, Lampkin, and Miles Patton, who you couldn't tell, and it's a good quality. You couldn't tell if they had thrown 8 innings of shutout ball or had given up 8 runs in 2 innings. That's a good quality, right?
Yeah, they're just the same, right?
Even keel, steady. This pitching staff is going to be way different than that. They're going to pitch with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to pitch with some emotion. Weston Moss and Shane Sadeo kind of lead that line. And you're going to see, they won't be rambunctious and kind of showing their hind end like some of those Tennessee guys have done in the past. That just comes to mind. But it's going to be some emotion on the mound. And so they are what I would describe as last year they were more buttoned up and stoic. This year they're more grimy.
Yeah.
They're kind of more dirtbaggy and again, there's not right or wrong. It's just an extreme different in personality. And what you would like to have that you just don't is a proven commodity on the back end of games. I know Josh Stewart was really good in that postseason run to Omaha in 24. He hadn't pitched in over a year, and it's not wipeout stuff. So you'd like to have either a presence that has done it consistently over the course of a couple of years, like an Aschenbeck, or you'd want to have wipeout. If this guy's throwing over the plate, you just don't hit it like Chris Cortez. They were lucky enough in 24, they had both of those. They don't have either of them, at least going into the year right now.
This is not about A&M. We'll get back to A&M, but I got a question. Do you think Tennessee, that people have learned from what happened with Coach Early and A&M last year, or does Tennessee take a step back?
It's hard to say they won't. I mean, Tony Vitello, for all intents and purposes, had grown into the best coach in the game. Mm-hmm. Now, again, it took him 7 years at Tennessee to do that. He got some leash and some leeway to get the program how he wanted it as a first-time head coach in the SEC. So it takes it's so crazy to me that people would formulate an overarching opinion about Josh Elander or about Michael Early, both of those guys in their late 30s, as head coaches and what their future in the game of baseball is going to be based off 1 or 2 seasons at a premier program where there's now pressure on everything you do. Your phone is the one that rings about every problem in the building. You cannot make a serious evaluation about what they're going to be long-term based off of 55 or 60 games in their first year. You just can't. That's why I was kind of excited that they gave Coach Early another opportunity. He's like, hold on. So if you'd have let him go, the only outcome that was acceptable for you was like a deep postseason run, Omaha national championship because of all the hype. Like that's the only possible outcome that would have satisfied you.
Right.
Or did you hire the guy because you think he's going to be a good coach long term? Because if you hired him thinking that he's going to be the coach here for a long time, then you've got to give him some runway to get there. Last year was a conglomeration of issues, and he certainly had, and he's not run from that. He's not run from the accountability of saying it all falls on my shoulders. But it was, if you look at it from the outside in, we talked about the injuries and some of the stuff. I mean, you could teach these kids till you're blue in the face that on a bunt coverage, you've got to be shaded this way and then cover first base. And then when it happens twice in game, like sometimes the kids are idiots.
Yeah.
Like I've just coached travel baseball for long enough. Like you just browbeat these kids and the information and you do it, you rep it 1,000 times. And when the lights come on, it doesn't register. It does fall at your feet, but some of it's like, come on, man. Like I got to hold your hand on bunt defenses. You're 20-something, 21 years old, whatever. What I'm saying is with Elander, I think they'll probably take a step back because they lost Tony and they lost the pitching coach, Frank Anderson, as well. I think Josh Elander, at one point I wanted him to come here and be an assistant because he is like rock star, like can really recruit, really good coach. I like Josh. I think he's going to be a really, really good coach in college baseball or even beyond. But if they take a step back, it should not be indicative of what type of coach he is right now and what kind of program Tennessee is.
What if they don't take a step back?
Again, you
don't make big opinions
right.
based on a small sample set.
Right. Bucky McMillan was coaching high school basketball. How long ago?
5 years ago, 6 years ago.
But the one thing he was doing, he was the head coach. So
yeah.
Bucky,
he made the decisions.
He made all the decisions. He drove the bus. Everything fell at his feet. Now, as you go up in the ranks, more things fall at your feet. Like your sphere of influence gets bigger, and so there's more people calling you, right? Your phone rings about more different things, but his phone has rang. And he understood that he is making the decisions for everybody in his program. Until you sit in that seat, it's hard to do. I don't care if it's at a D3 level, a high school level, or Power 4 college baseball. Like you just need time in the saddle, time in that seat to understand what all it encompasses. And so whereas I don't know Josh Elander's ever been a head coach, ever. He's been around some incredible head coaches. He's experienced in the best league in the country. He was a really good player, high-level player. But has he ever even coached, travel ball in the summer? Has he ever been a head coach of a summer wood bat league team?
Right.
There's just data that you need in that role that you don't have. That's going to take you some time to get used to it. And it's no different than Coach Early. Coach Early had never been a head coach for anything, not for his son Marshall's team.
Right.
So it just takes some time. And then you even said it as kind of a guy that just follows it because of what you do, but you don't dive into the day-to-day. But you even said, man, Coach Early, like this seems like his voice, like he's getting more confident in what he is.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, no matter who you are, like until you get reps in the saddle, like doesn't matter. Like when I first got the TexAgs, it took a little while for me to find my voice here. So I can just imagine a guy that hasn't done it. Like it takes time. And when he sat here yesterday, and on Monday, it just seemed like a different guy. And I'm not saying last year he didn't seem confident, but it's a different level.
Yeah, it was like last year he was searching for it.
Yeah.
First, and another thing about Coach Early that I will say unequivocally, he's a good dude. Man.
Yeah.
And he cares about this place. He cares about A&M baseball being good. He cares about his players. All of this stuff. Like, he's a good dude. Like, genuinely a good dude. So you pull for good human beings,
absolutely.
right? And I'm not saying that all these changes, again, I'm not saying that they're going to result in the wins required for him to continue to lead the ship. I hope they do. I hope like heck they do. But he has seen his blind spots. Some of his blind spots were uncovered during the year last year. Some of them were introspective after the season. Did you know this? He told me this. He went back and he watched every pitch of every game from last season to see what he could have done better. And whenever he was telling me about this, he was on the Missouri series. I was like, dude, he's like, I'm going to watch it. He goes, I need this self-accountability. I need this performance appraisal.
That's fantastic.
He goes, because you can look back at it and remember how bad it felt and remember how angry you were when you left the ballpark. But you got to go back and live it pitch to pitch to make sure that you fully encapsulate how it made you feel in the moment, but also what you could have done better in the moment. Not just go back and, man, I wish I would have done this. No, like go back and say, oh, we had an opportunity to bunt here. We had an opportunity to put some pressure on the defense. We had an opportunity where I could have given more take signals against this guy, and I didn't do it. I let the kids have too much freedom. I can't do that anymore. So I don't know that I could have done that. Like, that Missouri series was awful. It wasn't even the worst series of the year. It was in terms of outcome. When they went and played at Vanderbilt, it was putrid. I mean, it looked like you could have given them boat paddles.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have hit. Like, it was bad. So for him to go back through that again, like, it just shows that he is taking accountability for all this stuff. Whether it works out or not, we'll see. But it won't be for lack of effort and a lack of preparation and a lack of wanting to change. And again, like, one of my favorite things that he said was, if I could change last year's results, I would 1,000% do it for the players and for the fans. But for me, I wouldn't.
Because he needed to go through it.
Yeah.
Yep. Ronnie, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. When we come back, Billy Liucci should be in studio. Right now, we're talking about a bank that was established in 1913. That would be Guarantee Bank and Trust, with over a century of experience in Texas, and they are one of the most respected community banks, and they are a community bank. When you go there, you'll know the people there. They're going to know you as well. They've been serving Aggie Land as your community bank, and they've got 3 great locations in Bryan College Station, deeply invested in this community. They're involved in all types of activities. You'll see them all around the place. You'll see Brandon Sears, the market president. He's at every event you can imagine. Jared Salvato, the whole team, 33 locations across Texas, East Texas to DFW to Houston to Central Texas, and as I mentioned, right here in Bryan College Station. They grow stronger with their communities. They support financial education, home ownership, local business, and nonprofits right here in our own community. And remember, every decision is shaped by helping our communities grow stronger. What you need to do is check out the good people there. They have awesome people like Brandon Sears there, the Bryan College Station president, and 33 great locations across Texas. We want you guys to go meet Brandon and the entire team. Check out the website, gnty.com. That is gnty.com. It is Guarantee Bank and Trust, a division of Glacier Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's made me laugh. Derrick Henry, Nick Savage killing it on the piano because we got the elevator music that plays during the breaks for the YouTube audience. It's TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelry.
They wanted music for so long. I give them royalty-free music, and they complain. I tried, guys. I tried.
I think he was giving you love. I mean, that's what Derrick Henry does.
Yeah. He also runs the football really well.
He's a Real Madrid fan, believe it or not. We go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Billy Liucci is here somewhere. Walked in the middle of a segment just to stand in front of the camera, like as I'm doing my live spot. There he is.
There he is.
What's on TexAgs today, Reese Nygren at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center?
We have a lot of NIL interviews, including transfer offensive lineman Tyree Adams talking about why he picked A&M in the portal and what the development process under Elko and Moffitt looks like. We have Gavin Grahovac, who came into studio talking about his change from third base over to first base, as well as the adjustments in his swing that Bronny had talked about while he was in here. Caden Sorrell talks about the depth on this 2026 squad and areas that he looks to improve. We had Ollie Deba in with Luke talking about the kind of adaptation process to Buckyball and what brought him to Aggieland. And then coming up today and this weekend, we have basketball coverage as they head to Nashville to face the Vanderbilt Commodores. We'll have baseball opening weekend coverage from Bronny and Richard as they get you set for the first action from Olsen Field. And then we'll have softball coverage as they are in Clearwater for the weekend.
Couple things. First off, I want more music.
More music?
I think in this segment, we had the piano music playing part of that segment. I think we should do every once in a while just like a segment with the piano music. I don't know what the rules are. I don't make them. I don't know how the audience can hear. Nick, can you play piano music the rest of the segment as we finish this up, please? Please, just do it. Billy's walking in. It'll be fine. He won't know. What else was I going to tell you, Reese? I had a good thought, but it has escaped me.
Happens to the best of us.
Does it?
Yeah. You ever get that feeling like you walk into a room like, oh, like I'm going to do this, and then you get there and you're like, wait,
what am I doing here?
Yeah, like what was I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, and then
I live my life
you end
that
up
way.
just walking out of the room because I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
what I was going to do. As here comes Billy Liucci.
There we go.
And there's the music.
There. Just a little bit lower, just enough to like you can hear it, but not too high. Can we do that, Nick? What's that?
Discussion back. Apparently, everybody that works back there is from our area.
H-Town represent.
You've got Kaylee Dreyer. Happy birthday, Kaylee. It's her. I told her she can't post anything about Jordan year because Bronny said that, which was cool like 10 years ago. And so he's saying it. I'm like, Kaylee, please don't do that. And he made the point that Luke can tweet 33 times that following a basketball loss.
Right.
Kaylee can't tweet once about her birthday. I said, she can tweet about her birthday, but just don't do Jordan year.
I don't think you should tweet about birthdays.
Your own?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe what about after the fact? Thanks for all the birthday
No, because
wishes.
it's still asking for more birthday love.
I feel like you might be.
I think you can retweet what somebody says about your birthday. That's fine.
Really? See that?
But for you to say, hey, thanks all the love, birthday, and then everybody's, oh, Dave, I didn't know it was your birthday. Happy birthday.
But I think that's just on like Facebook, that's just commonplace. That's kind of like par for the course. And I think if I was a better person, the one thing Facebook is good for is my friends that never forget a birthday. It's the Facebook crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you this, no one, and I'm going to out him on this, Seth McKinney, who sent me a text that said, happy birthday. And I was about to be like, hey, Seth, you've known me how long? My birthday is not today. But he was saying happy birthday, and he sent me a delivery order, like a tracking order from Goldbelly. So I'm super excited to see what that brings.
Even though it's not.
And I think I know what it is because we were talking about like Chicago, New York pizzas the other day at lunch.
Okay. So. When is your birthday?
Well, it's Sunday.
All right, happy
February
birthday.
15th. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you for all the birthday wishes.
Yeah, there you go.
Much appreciated.
See, but
you can't do it on Facebook, but you can do it on radio and
what
TV.
What you did was classic smart guy. Like, you brought up Kaylee's, then weaved in a story, which
To
then
track to me.
accidentally, you're like, oh, but what is
The
your
only
birthday?
time I've ever done that was last year, like my 50th. Because I was like, somebody's got to do something good for me for this one. Because it's the only time that I care. Because typically, the last couple of years, I remember, I go to the Super Bowl week, and I'm like, man, I'm not really feeling like doing much a week later for my birthday. So it's like, can I just do some dinners?
Right.
I had someone come in, a friend came in Wednesday night for the basketball game. We went to dinner, went to the game. So that kind of started birthday. I just like to go meet up around that, like, say, 2-week stretch with as many people as I can. I think I'm going to go to Austin. I might go to the comedy show Monday. Like, I just like to have a busy couple weeks. I don't need to travel. Because I kind of want to do a mountain trip this weekend. Some of my buddies are going, but it's a lot of snow, and I'm not a big skier, so I'm like, what am I going to really do? I'd rather go when I can go sightseeing and hike and see the animals. So, like, I'm going to be like, thought about going to Nashville to watch the Aggies and Vandy and make a weekend of that. But I'm going back there in a month anyway for SEC Hoops tournament. So I'm just kind of, I think baseball opening weekend, comedy show, Wednesday Aggie Hoops, and just probably a lot of dinners in between. I'll probably get down to Houston and back one night. So that's my birthday. That's how I do it.
So I turned 50 this year, and my birthday always feels like there's nothing because I'm.
When is it?
It's always early in the football season.
Oh, so we
this
missed
year,
it.
We always miss it.
We didn't do anything for your 50th.
No,
birthday.
it's coming this year.
Oh,
It's going to be my 50th, but I won't plan
Nelly.
anything because
We're
it's
gonna do
Arizona
something.
State weekend. So I'll be busy.
Nuño, bars are going to be rocking.
You know I'm a big bars guy.
Well, we're gonna do it. We're gonna get you so
Barred up.
We're not gonna get you barred up. We're gonna get you. You're gonna do a couple of birthday shots.
No.
How about like a cake shot?
Nah, I'm good. I've already done enough cake on this show.
All right. Let's go. But
no, let's hit a break because it's 10:31. We're already a
Okay.
minute late, and then we'll do fresh content on the other side. It's TexAgs Live presented by David Gardner.
All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy, basketball-wise, huge. I mean, huge game in Vanderbilt, especially with the Missouri game in the backdrop. A game where, they hit 11 threes, only led by 5 at the half. And to me, that was almost like I think I told you at halftime, I was like, I'm a little worried because they're only up 5, they're hitting all these threes. That won't continue, and that was the case. I think Missouri inflicted their will on A&M.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same feeling, but I also wasn't worried because I said, okay, so now, you adjust, and they'll adjust, and you adjust, but you're doing it with a 5-point lead. And it was like if they could start the half strong and get that thing to 8 or 9, I felt pretty good. So I was just really watching that first few minutes of the second half to kind of, and it didn't go, I don't know if it was right at the start, but shortly thereafter, they went through a pretty bad dry spell in terms of shooting, making shots. So you didn't think they'd go from 11 to, it took them a while, I thought, to get going again from distance. Quite a while, actually. And I'm not saying they didn't make any, so don't fact check me, but watching the game, I'm going, okay, we've definitely cooled off. And yeah, I just thought A&M would get more stops. I knew they wouldn't stay hot, and then I didn't think it would go from a 5-point lead to an 8-point deficit. And it shouldn't have. A&M had some bad possessions in there. They missed, I can think of a couple missed layups. There was a rebound and then a quick turnover that gave it right back to Missouri. There was, a couple missed free throws on a 2-shot shooting foul that were, a lot of things that add up to, in a 1-point game, it's why you lost. I think if I'm Bucky and the Aggies, I'm looking at self-inflicted mistakes there as to why I lost. And that, to me, as someone that was in the game, I would be going, that's why we lost. Because, yeah, they were bigger than us, and yeah, they had a size advantage, massive size advantage inside. And I don't think we talk enough about the size advantage that a lot of these teams, especially Wednesday night, are having at guard. I mean, that guard, all he did,
he was great.
Yeah, and he just calmly dribbled through the press. He'd get up there. He would, swat. And I'm not complaining about this because I'm fine with it.
Yeah, he would swat.
But he would swat away any A&M guard trying to defend him, swat their arm away. And then he would put his head and shoulder down and just physically force them to just kind of ride with him to the basket. And he made a lot of his layups, or he'd kick it back out.
And he hit shots.
Like, the dude, he was their MVP. And then, of course, the size thing and the rebound advantage is just something that, unfortunately, that part of it, I don't think A&M can overcome. The foul thing, one foul in the first half. I understand that foul number on Missouri should have been low by the way A&M was playing offense. I'm trying
more than 1 or 2.
One,
two.
Yeah, that was absurd.
Yeah,
and then to start the second half and call it in such a way that you're not letting A&M play physical. I'm fine with that guard doing all this and swatting, but
let it go both ways.
But if you're going to call A&M for 6 fouls before the under 16 timeout, and I believe that's what it was. I think it was 6 fouls. 8, yeah, because Missouri had 2, A&M had 6. It was insane. And so I think those refs screwed the game up right there during that stretch. They sucked. And it was 2 of them. There was 2 of them that kept doing it. They were terrible. But at the same time...
And they wouldn't call it on the other end.
No. But at the same time, A&M had so many chances to win that game, and I'm sure they spent that night at least, they should beat themselves up over it, because they absolutely let a very important one get away. And so here's the deal. They're just going to have to start playing, get back, and it sucks to say, I don't think they're playing bad basketball at all. They got smoked by Florida, who is in the process of smoking Alabama, A&M, and Georgia. And I don't even know who they played after Auburn. So they may have smoked 4 teams in a row. And by the way, 3 of those 4 probably be in the tournament. And you lost at Alabama by 3 and had the lead with 1:20 left. and you lost to a Missouri team that's fighting for the tournament. By the way, one that beat Florida, and you lost to them by 1 point. So, 39 minutes plus you led against, more than 39 or 38 minutes into the game, you led at Bama and Missouri. And, you lost both. They count as losses. They don't count as closes. But my point is, I don't think they're playing bad basketball, but they're going to have to elevate a whole nother level, because I think to feel good about going to the tournament before the SEC tournament, I think they need to go 4-2. And that's tough, right? Like, at home, Ole Miss, Texas, and Kentucky. Road, Arkansas, OU, LSU, and Vandy. In those 7, so I think they have to go 4-3 in those 7. That's tough, and especially if you isolate out at Arkansas because of how good they're playing right now. You can go 4-2 in those 6. And if they do, I think they'll be in at 11. I'm not saying they can't be in at 10-8 in the conference. Maybe the 10-8 and 1 conference tournament win. Maybe it's, I don't know.
Well, and maybe to feel favorable
good
about the Bama game, maybe because they don't hold that against you.
Yeah, but to feel good, I'd say it's 11, and they can do it. And I think the way they're playing, they can do it. But I think they need to elevate a little more, because I still think they're susceptible. There's certain areas where they're just going to have a hard time overcoming. So even these games, like, I know OU's towards the bottom of the standings. That's a tough one. I know Ole Miss is bottom half. Like, that's a tough one. They have to win those games.
Yeah, and I think they have to force turnovers again, because the turnovers were too similar. I mean, they both had 9.
Mm-hmm.
And Missouri's a team that turns the ball over a lot. A&M wins by forcing a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, I didn't understand how they – I think the guard, he was outstanding.
He was so good. Yeah.
And he's big. Like, I don't know what his size – what is his size?
The hair makes him look bigger.
Yeah, I know. So that was – but he was like twice the size, like, muscle mass wise, of like Jakari.
He's listed at 6'4", 205.
Yeah, that's what I say. He looked like a college safety. He really did, and he just
compared to Jakari.
Yeah, he's like what, 5'9"?
Yeah,
and even Marcus Hill, I know, is listed as bigger, but I think he's smaller than he's listed.
Holloway,
like these guys, like he just is too. He was too big, too physical, and to his credit, he used that to his advantage. And their size inside was ridiculous. Like, I don't know how they're not a better team than they are, especially with kind of what they did last year in terms of like the culture.
Well, the team that I saw this week, is one of the best teams A&M has played all season long. I know the record doesn't reflect that, but what I'm saying, what I saw that night,
the way they shot,
the way they played, their physicality. Gates called a great play to give them the lead. Like, they knew all the tip-ins that were going their way. That's a really good team that has lost some games they shouldn't and won some games they should. Another thing is, you got to get Ruben Dominguez some good looks.
Yeah, they got to get him going, because, I mean, we say that, they made, 15 or 16 threes. It's almost like if it's not coming from him, it's coming from somewhere.
Yeah.
He just doesn't need a lot of misses. I think they'll get the threes and the shots from somebody else if they're not getting them from him. But they don't need, they don't need guys out there, whether it's Ruben or on any given game, missing, that many. He's in a cold stretch. Yeah. I think he'll come out of it. I absolutely think he'll come out of it. Who knows? Maybe it's at the weird court at Vandy. This would be a if they could get this one, if they could go down there and steal one tomorrow, which OU did a week ago, if they could go steal one from them. Vandy's a weird team, though, because they look really good, and you're like, what are they doing? Then they look really good, so you just never know.
At least there's not that physicality mismatch that I think we saw in the last 2 games.
That's fair. A&M's just going to have to go down there and play their asses off and hop on the plane and come home, like celebrate. Like, just like they did. Georgia was different. They played, that was just like a beat down, but just like they did at Auburn, just like they did at Texas. They need to go down there and say, we're in for a battle, and we're gonna win this game over 40 minutes, and we're gonna get on the damn plane, and we're gonna be home in time for dinner.
Yeah. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back, talk a little baseball on the other side. You're listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Hey friends, David Nuño here for Prize Picks. They're back on TexAgs, prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to get $50 once you play in $5 lineups. And Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. Football season's here, basketball coming up, baseball, you name it. You go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs and start having some fun watching sports, making some money on there. And you can play Prize Picks in over 40 states, including California and Texas. Remember, they'll give you $50 in lineups once you play $5 lineups on Prize Picks. And they have the new thing. It's called It's Good to Be Right campaign, and they're kicking off the upcoming NFL season with their bold new campaign, It's Good to Be Right. The seasonal long push celebrates the thrills of getting it right, from the perfect prediction to winning your Prize Picks lineups. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Dallas. Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Yeah. I know, we're back. That was quick. I didn't know we were back. I was kind of in my own world. Billy, we got to opening weekend, opening night tonight for baseball.
We were going to do, you just changed it up.
No, I didn't change it up. You didn't. Okay, I'm glad you did
tell
that.
Tell me what happened, because I wasn't ready for that.
Your mic's not. There we go.
You asked him at the break if you wanted to talk baseball or combine, and he said combine, and you said, well, I'm going to at least ask you, are you excited for opening day? And you said, okay, fine.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited for opening day.
That's exactly what happened.
Very excited. I actually am, first of all. But with Brawny wart-hogging his way through the opening segment, which gave me time to, I actually ran into the great R.C. Slocum before breakfast, so decided it was either come in and
always talk to R.C.
sit with y'all two, or give Brawny an extra segment since he was misscheduled today. So I figured I'd let y'all two talk about it. So that was the baseball conversation this hour. But I think no, I'm fired up. This time of year, it's always full of hope and optimism, and it's fun. You see you start getting to this role and routine where you see everybody every week, and all the people that come to all the games, and then it's like every weekend you've got friends coming in town, and the excitement just tends to build as the year goes on when your team's in contention, and I think A&M will be this year. I think last year was a I wouldn't call it a blip, whatever it was. It was a bad year that they almost recovered, and the start was so bad that they were unable to recover. Normally you can recover from an awful weekend of baseball. A&M was unable to because of the first, half plus of the season. But to me, that gave me a lot of hope moving forward in terms of like Mike Early kind of rectifying things and getting past that, what turned out to be a really awkward, injury-prone, never really get your footing under you transition year. So the finish and the way they finished all the way, not just the last several SEC series sans Missouri, but also into the SEC tournament, some of these portal additions. I think we don't talk enough about the portal additions on the pitching side in terms of like that bullpen. I think it's, even with the loss a couple weeks ago, I think it's so much better positioned this year than it was last year, the bullpen. And so that part will be significant. I just think so much of it, though. I love the lineup. I heard y'all talking about it earlier, Zane and Clendenin. I just, Sadeo and Moss have to be studs this year.
Yeah.
And I think they will be. And I think, their stuff is nasty. They're plenty experienced. Their mentality is right. But I think part of the reason you see people picking A&M lower is because, like I said the other day, one of them's coming off Tommy John, and the other one's coming off, coming out of the bullpen. He's going into full-time starter, weekend starter role for the first time. So there are questions there. But if those guys answer the question the way that I think they will, and the way that I think Mike Early and his staff think they will, then I think this team, it's a completely different outlook for this baseball team than what people have, let's say, outside of College Station today. Like, if you could guarantee everybody doing these rankings, hey, Sadeo and Moss are going to be high-end SEC arms, high-end weekend starters. And if you told them this is a fact, so now do your rankings, then I think you'd see A&M sitting there like on 12. The back end of the top 10.
Yeah, I agree with that. I do want to make sure we cover this. Combine, 13 Aggies, leading the country in the invites. Something that I think a year ago around now, Billy, you were telling us, like, hey, don't be surprised if A&M has north of 10 guys, getting drafted and more going to the Combine.
A&M had 3 players invited. I'm going to talk about this extensively. I mean, this is going to be, let's do this on a Monday topic, because I want to talk about Mike Elko and what he's done in terms of to go from 3 Combine invites, 3, that was towards the very bottom of the SEC, to 13 in 1 year. And to go from 3 draft picks, which, by the way, he inherited 2 of them. One of them was Nick Scorton, to possibly as many as 10 this year. And look, you've got to sustain it. And I don't think they'll have that many this coming year based on, the low number of seniors.
Right.
But I still think they're going to be well above 3. I think that would be more like over a half dozen again next year. But you've got, Elko has said, he said it on here, he said it before, you've got to have that to win in this league. And if you look at the number of Combine invites, go look at the teams in the country that have the most. And A&M has the most this year, which is amazing. But and people that'll go, well, what'd you do with it? Hey, look, you jackasses. They went to a college football playoff. They went 11-1 in the regular season, 11-0 to start the year. They finished number 8 in the country. They did plenty with those draft picks. You always want to do more. Every team except Indiana wanted to do more. Maybe we'll throw in Miami since they played for the Natty. Every other team wanted to do more, including A&M. But that was a massive jump from year 1 to year 2 for Mike Elko, I think, in every area. And then it showed up on the record on the field because of that. Things like NFL players outgoing to the NFL, things like Combine invites, draft picks, all conference and all American players. Who had KC and Cassius Howell as first team All Americans before the season? Like, all of those things happened. Then you look up and you had a great year. So for everyone wondering about what the recruiting class was ranked here, the portal class was ranked here, everybody always asks me, what do you think about? I go, man, here's what we have with Mike Elko. What about his hires? He's promoting from within. Here's what we have from Mike Elko. Hire him. Year 1, condensed off season, goes 8-4, right? Year one condensed off, a couple top 10 wins at Kyle Field. Okay, played Texas with a chance to go to the SEC championship. I was about to say tournament, and then the next season, year two, with the whole offseason, he's going to have like 7 or 8 portal guys get drafted in the first 2 years. All of them this year except Scorton. You put again, whatever all he did, the team he put on the field was a top 10 finish. Spent most of the year, a lot of the year in the top 5, and went to the college football playoff. That's your evidence. That's your body of work. I think you should give these guys and the head coach the benefit of the doubt this offseason if you're an Aggie, and you should be as fired up and bullish about this team as the people outside that have nothing to do with A&M are. You know, the people like that cover college football nationally. Like, go listen to what they're saying. They're not saying much different than me. In fact, I think they're even more bullish because they aren't quite as familiar with kind of, like I always say, with the warts of it all, which I don't think there are many. I think this team, you know, has a real good chance to replicate what they did last year in terms of the caliber team they put on the field. Now, the question is, with everybody, what does the 9-game SEC schedule do for you? How does that affect, you know, your ability to get to, say, 10 wins? But that's something everybody has to deal with.
Billy, thank you.
All right.
Have a great weekend, buddy. That'll do it for TexAgs Live here on a Friday. We'll see you on Monday.